Looking for the best astrology guidance? You can enjoy an entire month of personalized astrology services for just $3.99. At Serious Joy, we pride ourselves on providing astrology enthusiasts with exactly what they're looking for. Daily personalized inspiration that speaks directly to the heart. Sign up today and you'll receive personalized messages straight to your phone 7 days a week. And that's just half of it. You'll also get access to our exclusive members-only site with tons of amazing features. Experience the most accurate astrology service on the web at SeriousJoy.com.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Namaste Today Live. I'm your host, Sensei Christopher Witecki, psychic astrologer and a fan of the stars. Welcome to our live show. It's such a pleasure to be here. And we cannot have a Friday without it's Friday. It's finally Friday. And it is finally Friday. I don't know about y'all, but I had a heck of a week right now. Welcome, everyone, to Virgo, and welcome to the show. We are live on YouTube, Twitter. Actually, now it's called X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Such a pleasure to be here. Hello, community. If you are chatting live with us on any of the platforms, we encourage you to tell us, where are you chatting from? Let's see how big our global community is. We're using a super chat system. So whether you are chatting on Facebook Live or you are on Twitter or LinkedIn, it's all coming together into one mega chat to bring our spiritual community together. So hello, everyone. Tell us where you are from. Whoa, Brisbane, Australia. Hello, Donna Nelson. Such a pleasure to have you here. I saw someone from Bali. That's pretty impressive. I wonder if that's a beautiful, wish I could see your scenery where you are right now. Hello, Gloria Miller in White House, Texas. Hello, Vivian. Nice to see you. Clayton Gray. Nice to see you. Wow. Experimental Elemental is in Glastonbury, UK. I had no idea, but I should have known given that very clever title that you have as a username. Hello, Truth Seeker from Las Vegas. How much truth do you get off there in Vegas? Must be tough for you. Hello, Susie Sharp from Temecula. Hello, Jill Louise. Always nice to see you from the farmlands of Illinois. Hello, The Quilt. Hello, Patricia. Hello in Ontario, Canada. Wow, this is amazing. I'm so glad I asked where you guys were from because it looks like we have a full global audience here. It's going to be a shifty week ahead, my friends. We are in the season of Virgo reality. Not my favorite season, to be honest. No offense to the Virgos. I love my Virgos, but I just feel I don't know how the hell you do it. This energy to me is hyper aware. It has got all sorts of kind of stickiness to it. And so far up until this week, we have really had to face the what we have become on the inside. And maybe that's why it's tough for me because I'm not so happy. But we have a very good show for you today. We're going to talk about the planets in transits, get real deep on the astrology. We got a new event coming up this week that's going to be super and stellar, which is the Sun conjuncting Mercury at 13 degrees Virgo. We also are going to talk about horoscopes for all 12 signs. So if you want to know what your sign is up to or your rising, stick around to our tea time segment. And at the end of the show, our Astro Mingle segment, our special guest this week is abstract healing artist Heather Eck. She's going to talk about how you can heal using the power of color. But before we dive into all this great content, let's take a look at the Zodiac weather. This Zodiac weather is for Saturday, September 2nd to Friday, September 8th, 2023. Looking at your weekend moodcast, this weekend is really about firing up and moving forward with who you're becoming. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and fired up. Step 9 rules the day, which means Mars is the active planet. And it's time, especially with the moon in Aries, to take action and become someone new on the inside, someone that supports your heart's dreams. On Sunday, it's sunny and persevering. Step 10 means the I manifest energy is ruling the planet. You are protecting who you are becoming on this day. And welcome back, Venus. Venus stations direct at 12 degrees Leo. Now on to our 5-day weekday moodcast. Over the course of the week, you then take this new becoming and you expand what's possible in daily life. Let's drill down. On Monday, it's sunny and integrating. Step 11 is the Grand Master step of Virgo. Chiron rules the day. This is the day where you will experience and realize that you have become someone new to yourself. Mercury trines Jupiter, coordinating daily efforts, and Jupiter stations retrograde at 15 degrees Taurus. On Tuesday, it's sunny and positive. Step 12 means Jupiter rules the day, bringing a hope and optimism to your life with unlimited possibilities before you. You're opening up to new options and expanding resources. On Wednesday, it's sunny with a chance of lightning. Step 13 means that Uranus rules the day. You are innovating your perspective on your daily routines. And it's Cazimi time, Sun Conjoins Mercury retrograde at cosmic 13 degrees Virgo. On Thursday, it's sunny and resolved. Step 14 means Mercury rules the day, and the moon is Gemini, doubling that energy. This is the day where you will have an intellectual breakthrough and have a new idea about daily life and perhaps a new perspective on how to approach it. And then on Friday, it's sunny and comfy. Step 15 means Venus rules the day. You are opening your heart and accepting what's possible in everyday life. And the sun trines Jupiter, which coordinates that truth to resources and potential. I love me my Zodiac weather. Well, let's do a little housekeeping today. If you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel here at Serious Joy. It does help us with the algorithm. And also, if you haven't already, please hit the like button because it helps us with the algorithm as well. We have a great message and we love people to see what we're about. Namaste Today is a weekly podcast here on YouTube and all the different platforms, sponsored by our home company, SeriousJoy.com. SeriousJoy.com is an application for spiritual life coaching using your astrological information to coach to you 7 days a week. We have podcasts every day of the week, 7 messages sent to your phone, all based on your astrology, and a team of spiritual professionals. We have astrologers, we have a sound healer, we have an angel reader, and we have some amazing astrologers who focus on metaphysics specialties as well. If you haven't given it a try, you might want to consider it now. It's just $3.99 for the first month. Visit us at SeriousJoy.com for more information. And with that, let's move on to our planets and transits. Well, friends, we are in the harvest season of Virgo. And it's interesting because, tropical astrology does seem to be based on the Northern Hemisphere when you look at the seasons. Of course, it applies to everybody on Earth. But here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is when we are starting to harvest. And I think that's part of the consciousness as well. So what's interesting is in Australia, you all harvest your consciousness in the winter, but harvest your vegetables in the fall. So it's sort of interesting how that works out. Virgo season is really where you get the net result of your entire year. This is the time of consciousness of what we become. And I look at the 12 signs as 12 states of human awareness. In other words, every sign is a different part of being human and understanding how we are human. We know this, of course. Taurus is our ability to create and produce. Gemini is our intellectual and thinking and communication. Cancer is our emotion. Leo is our heart, which is the epicenter of what we create. And Virgo is what we become. In the step system that I use, and I downloaded from the archangels, Virgo is step 11, which is really interesting because really what step 11 is 2 Leos. So my joke is a Virgo is actually 2 Leos in one, step 11. They're a compound sign. Tauruses are a Leo and a Scorpio, which is interesting too. That's kind of why these 2 signs are so heavy. They're compound signs. They have more states of awareness packed into their awareness. And that's funny too, because if you know a Virgo very well, which I happen to, I love my Virgos, they're always wanting 2 things at once. I can never really pick out which one they want the most. It's that 2-11. I love myself and I love myself some more. But the net of step 11 is 2, or the moon, or Cancer, which explains the moodiness of Virgo consciousness. And boy, oh boy, was this a moody week. That full moon in Pisces, eh? How about that? People comment, it was one of the toughest full moons that I have ever experienced. And I nailed it. I knew it would be because it wasn't just a full moon. Full moons means full energy. It was a full moon on the 30th in Pisces. So it was a full moon where we were having to release our karmic baggage. That's never fun. It was also a full moon at 7 degrees, which means we were releasing our own personal karmic baggage. But I think the reason why it was such an intense full moon was because we also had Venus retrograde, which kind of exposes our heart and our heart's truth, looking backwards for our heart. And we had Mercury retrograde, which means we're also sort of inside out with our mind. So it was sort of like being naked in a full moon. It felt like we were all sort of naked. And actually, my team and I, we had a Knights of the Round Table Lights of the Round Table special edition to talk about September and what we're going to call September. And all of us backstage before the show went live, we were all sort of like, it's like we've been partying all night. Our eyes are a little bloodshot. We'd all been very emotionally sort of upset, but we showed up and we smiled and we pulled it off. But it was nice to be verified that, that other people were going through the same thing that I was going through as well. But it was intense. And when you compound that with the sun in Virgo, in all the 12 states of awareness, Virgo is what we become. So it is your skin, your flesh, your five senses, your body, your organs, your tissue. It's what we call reality, frankly. It's everything that's visible in the human spectrum. And the weird thing about Virgo is that, and this is the way the body is, you probably know this, bodies create habits. Reality creates habits. So if you have a habit of going to bed every night at the same time, let's say at 10 p.m., and you then try to move it to 11, your whole body sort of resists the change, because physical reality, Virgo reality, is meant to be. It's meant to continue and continue on that path until you stop it. But it's also a very heavy energy in the sense that it's like a train. It's not easy to stop. Try telling a Virgo no and see how well that goes for you. Okay. Like they just don't accept the word no. And the Virgo energy doesn't accept the word no either. Just like our body doesn't really accept going to bed an hour later. What I'm getting at is when you dive into the Virgo season, and we talked about this at Serious Joy in our daily podcast, the Pep Talk, we've been talking about the fact that that Virgo is tough because every year you come into Virgo and you sort of become very aware of everything you are. In the other states of awareness, in the other months, you might be paying attention to your heart in Leo, or your emotions in Cancer, or what you're going to do in Aries, or your spirituality in Pisces. And so it's not that we're ignoring our reality. It's just that we're not focusing on our reality most of the year. And then Virgo hits and it just hits us up like the side of our head, like a reality check. And it's like, whoa. And you realize, oh my God, you step on the scale. Oh, shift. Look at how heavy I become. Or you realize, oh my gosh, look at how negative I become. It's the first chapter of it, which is the chapter we just lived. You have to sort of accept what you have become. And that's not always easy to accept. Well, but that brings me also to the nature of Pisces. Now, Pisces is the opposite of Virgo, but the reason why it's relevant, I'm a little bit of a different astrologer. I don't see many astrologers doing this, but I believe in tracking the Earth. And I've had astrologers talk to me and say, that's ridiculous. The Earth is not in any given sign. The Earth is never in a sign. Only planets are in a sign. Well, I'm not looking at it from the perspective of the Earth being in a sign. I'm looking at the perspective of, if I'm awake here in the daytime and the sun is in front of me, that's Virgo. So if the sun is up in the daytime, it's working with the energy of Virgo. Virgo is ahead of me. What's behind me if I'm looking at the sun? What's behind me is Pisces. And the interesting aspect about astrology is you always want to use the counter sign in order to counter the sign. So in other words, the way you temper the Virgo reality is by the Pisces energy that is behind you, the Pisces energy that is supporting you. And it's interesting how that energy is ultimately the backup or the support. So in other words, the trick of this season, that's what I want to talk about here in this first little segment. The trick of this season is when reality hits, and it hits hard in Virgo, and it hits very strongly in Virgo. When it hits you, the only thing we can do to sort of counterbalance is to go back to our faith, Pisces, to go to what we have faith in, to surrender the physical reality, to let go of us holding on to certain things. It's like you have to sort of let go of the side of the pool, or let go of what you're trying to become in order to be able to shift your gears. And I use the analogy, I might have used it last week, I can't remember, but I look at Virgo as really the gears we're in. What gears are life in, or how fast are we going? What's our trajectory? And I look at Pisces as the clutch, like you have in a standard vehicle for standard transmission, that the way we can shift gears in Virgo, you got to put in the clutch, which is your faith, your connection to spirit. If you want to get literal, meditation, going into some sort of zone where you can do yoga, or you can connect to your higher self, or you can meditate. Sound healing is profound, I find, in Virgo, really lubricates the energetic joints. Shout out to Kristen Ryder, our sound healer and master here on Serious Joy, doing great work, by the way. So these different other elementals sort of help you come into your spirit and allow you to let go of the physical reality. And so going back to the full moon, I think it was sort of brutal because one, it was a turning point. You know, it was, I think, designed by the planets to say to ourselves, it's time to make a change in your life. It's time to let go of some of these spiritual issues that have become very real in our life, you know, very, very concrete in our life. And so on the full moon, there was no clutch. That was the thing. There was no clutch. The clutch was this full moon of like obvious emotion and past life history and karma. And the Venus retrograde was heartache and heartbreak. And the Mercury retrograde was feeling stupid or all of our mental games with ourselves. So it was a hell of a full moon. It was a doozy, but I do think it was a profound full moon. I do believe it was a turning point. I do believe it's the final straw for lots of people about certain things in life. And I do believe that as we go into this week, we are now ready to build what we want to become. So in the first 10 degrees of Virgo, it's what have I become? What have I become to myself? What have I become in my life? What is my, what has my life become? How have I, become crusty on the inside and inflexible? And then once you realize that truth and you get past the full moon, we were blessed to have the full moon early in the transit. Then you can go, okay, that's what I have become. Now this is what I want to become. And we spend the rest of this upcoming month wanting to become. So our theme of the month, and I'll talk about this at the end of the show with our mega monthly plug, is last month, if you remember, we called it Finding Your Inner Merlin. And I believe that August was about finding our inner Merlin, finding our magic, which was like a clever way to say that we're getting back in touch with our heart, mostly from the Sun in Leo, our heart, but also the Venus retrograde in our heart. And that was why we were getting back in touch with that magic in ourselves. And if nothing else, we realized we lost the magic. I think that was a lot of what I noticed and witnessed with my clients and doing readings, was that people felt like they lost their magic. They lost their magic in relationships, and they fell out of love with their job. They fell out of love, with their roommate. What I mean? People fell out of love with different things, and it was an eye opener. And if you didn't find your inner Merlin, you realize Merlin had taken off. You realize that I don't have any magic in my life and I'm craving it back in my life, which is a good thing. A little hunger can go a long way, except the Hunger Games, another story, right? Now, that said, as we come into September, our theme is the magic unfolds, rewriting history. That's what this month is about. The magic this month is going to unfold. You're going to see in the month of September what potential magic can become in your life, where the magic can become real, where the magic is absolutely gone. And so we have to find new magic. And rewriting history is actually a clever way of saying that we're going to reframe our karma. So as the sun is in Virgo, the earth's back is in Pisces, and earth is what we manifest. So I believe that we trailblaze with our heart in the sun in Virgo, we manifest with the earth, which is in Pisces. And so with the earth in Pisces, we are manifesting, I believe, a new spiritual chapter to our spiritual legacy. And I've been talking about this for years. I remember I started talking about this in 2020, and I won't get super deep on it, but I will do a little catch me up, okay? That human beings in this lifetime, in my opinion, had two major goals if you incarnated in this life. One goal was to clean up your karma. We went through the dark ages. Some of us were not very, very nice people, even me included. I know of a couple lifetimes where I could have been a little nicer. And as a result, with Neptune and Pisces, which entered in 2012, that purebred connection to our spiritual self, to connecting to our higher self, allowed us to sort of create little mini movies, little recreations, like a reality series, like little recreations of our karma with ourselves and with other people. And we have had an opportunity to face our karma, which is our spiritual memories of being successful, memories of being a failure, memories of being nice, memories of being mean. And these memories come out for us to have another option to correct the record, to correct the historical spiritual record with ourselves. And I believe that up until last week, August 30th, I believe that, well, that was this week. I mean, I'm thinking last week now, but we're still in the week as I tape this. That's funny. 2 days ago, that full moon was really the final oomph, the final emotional note. You could say the funeral, and that's what it felt like. It felt like a funeral. You could say it was the funeral of our old karmic story, and we were putting to rest the Renaissance, the Dark Ages, World War I, the Civil War. Oh, so many Civil War clients that I have when I do readings. I can't tell you how many Civil War clients I have. Seems like there was a lot of amputations. But that was a funeral basically for all the lifetimes of suffering that you've had on the earth. I don't know how far back, but I know I was mourning lifetimes that go all the way back to like 500 that I know of. And I happen to be strangely aware of my past lives. Again, with past lives, by the way, you have to have your own evidence and pray to God and get your own evidence. I don't expect anyone to believe in past lives until you experience for yourself your own past life memory. I am devoutly certain that I have had certain past lives. So that full moon was the funeral and the final procession of all of that karma. I call that the story we were born to. And then part two of this lifetime is that now that we get karma free and we stop tripping over our own feet, we have come to make something of ourselves. We have come to make an impression. We've come to shine our light. And we have come to make a very, very important choice here on earth. And that choice is, are we gonna destroy the earth or are we going to evolve the earth? Which is it going to be? Is it going to be dystopia? Is it going to be utopia? Is it going to be something in between? That is ultimately our generation. And I talked last week of the different generations we have on the planet right now, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, the Gen Y or millennials, the Gen Z, and the Alpha A's, which are not really in the game yet, but will inherit the work of all these other generations. Are we going to drop the earth and let it be destroyed again? And I do think looking at the planet and the history, this isn't our first rodeo. We have destroyed the earth before. And this moment, bringing it down to a local now moment with the sun in Virgo, the question is, are you ready, my friend, to become the star that you really are? Are you ready to pull out your talent, to get your magic hat and magic wand? Are you ready to share with us your gifts and your talents? Are you ready to shine like the star Sirius, the brightest star in the sky? Because I am, and I think a lot of us are. And as we come out of this little coma of releasing our karma in the last, since 2012, quite a long time, 11 years, basically, are we ready now to get back in the ring and really bring this world to the place and the potential it can be? I was born believing that this is possible, and I'm not letting that dream go. I will die on that hill, basically, that the world can change. And let me just end this intro with this. I know when you look at television and media and politics and he said, she said, and all the, social media fighting and the censorship and the abuse of power and, the horrible things that happen, like the fires in Maui. God bless our Maui friends out there. I'm sending you my love and my appreciation for you. All the people that have suffered. When you look at this, it does seem, especially with Virgo, just like when your body goes to sleep, an hour late and you're thrown off because your body is fighting for things to stay the same. The Virgo consciousness fights for things to stay the same. So we have to not get seduced into thinking that it won't change. And that's the myth of Virgo. And that's every Virgo reading I give to every Virgo. Like, it can change. Virgos don't necessarily believe. They look at all the evidence. They look at everything stacked against them. They look at all the different facts and things like that. And they go, oh my God, this sort of turns into an Eeyore moment where they get sad and they're like, it's never going to change. That's Virgo. Virgo energy is designed to continue on the same path until it's corrected. So as we move forward now, as we realize, okay, this is who I want to become when I grow up one day. I mean, I'm already past my Chiron return, so I'm waiting for the day that I grow up. Any day now, I'm going to grow up and be a man. But when I do grow up, I am thinking to myself, what do I want to be and what do I want to come? That is the energy of become. And that is the energy of Virgo. And that is the secret of reality. What you be is what comes. That's the law of attraction. That's what step 11 is. What you be with the first one attracts an identical version of you, a reflection of you, a reflection of your reality. So although reality seems like this railroad track that you can't get off of, that you're sort of boxed in by the 11 and you can't get out of it, the truth of the matter is, if you change who you be on the inside, you will see the outer world come to be a reflection of you. Now, here's the secret, Dorothy. It's always been that way. And this is the bad news. Yes, I do believe that we are responsible for all the negative things that happen to us in our life. We didn't realize it. If you would have shown me where I was signing up for it, I wouldn't have signed on that dotted line. But I do believe that my energy is what attracts what has happened to me. And I'm at a point now in my life where I just get some popcorn and go, oh my gosh, look at what a hot mess I am on the inside, because my life is a hell of a hot mess on the outside. So I now realize whenever shit goes down in my outer life, shift goes down, I realized, oh man, there's something going on in me, and that cray has manifested in the moment. That is the magic that unfolds, the magic of reality. I believe that we as Pisces energy, Pisces is spiritual energy, we came down to embody our spiritual energy into the physical world because we want to see a reflection of what we look like. From what I understand, there are no mirrors in heaven. You can't see what you look like. From what I understand, and I get this, by the way, from different authors who have put people through, what do you call it? Hypnosis. And so they talk about what heaven's like in the hypnosis. I don't know if you read any of these books. They're really fascinating because story after story after story says heaven is the same way over and over again. We're basically these balls of light, but when we look at each other, we see pictures of each other as we're looking at them in heaven. We go over all these, like heaven has all these tapes on us. They've captured us in every private moment. So be careful what you do. You're going to see those tapes in heaven. But in essence, we can't experience who we are in the flesh unless we come down here. We're just an idea. We're just a mental idea in heaven. And so earth is a chance to really see your inside and your inner self reflected in your outer world and your outer reality. In a way, this is a very crazy theme park of awareness and consciousness, a magical place earth is. And unfortunately, there's no rules. So if you want to manifest hell and you want to manifest pain and just suffering, you can manifest that just as easily. So as we step into this week, last week, God showed you, this is what you become on the inside. Are you like it? How's it taste? You know what I mean? And also we had a double dose of ice cream because we had the full moon in Pisces, which ultimately said also, and this is your spiritual story and what you've come to learn. And although that was painful and very uncomfortable, and I wouldn't want to go through it again, we now are empowered to become someone else on the inside for the next 3 weeks of Virgo. And we're also empowered to change what comes in our life, what comes to us. So the magic unfolds. This week, the title of the week is, if you want to take notes class, here it is. Get your crayon on your pencil. I'm thinking of a Picture Pages song. Remember that? Picture Pages. Remember that song? Get your crayon on your pencil. Shifting life's plans. That's what this week is about. Shifting life's plans and accepting values. Shifting life's plans and accepting values. This is the week where you're going to say, oh, no, this is not going to work. This is the week where you realize this is not going to work for me. I don't think so. No, I don't think this is going to work. And on the other side, because of a lot of stuff going on with Jupiter and trines of Mercury to Jupiter and the Sun trining Jupiter both this week, we're going to have a real check-in with how our values have changed. So I want to put that out there to everyone. It's like, why does life need to change? Because what I value has changed. What I value has changed. And by the way, values need to change. There are some values that stay the same, such as freedom of speech. I think that's a value that should never change. Personally, I don't think that should ever change. I think we should always have freedoms. Those values, you know, and value, what is a value? Let's even get deeper here. Let's go super nano Virgo. Okay. Let's get our microphone, you know, what's we're looking for our magnifying glass. I'm going to blame Mercury on that one, Mercury retrograde. Get our magnifying glass and take a real look at this. Value, which is Taurus. Okay. Taurus is value. Taurus is step 10. All right. Step 10 is what you love and what you protect. Or you could say it is time. 0 is time in unlimited time. And 1 is energy. How do we manifest? It's so simple. Whatever you put your time 0 and energy 1 into. And 10 is the value. That's what makes it valuable. 10 is the most valuable number in the first sequence of numbers, right? It's the most valuable. Do you want 9 or do you want 10? You want 10, right? Like everyone wants 10. 10 is when it's the best. 10 or more is what we'll say. So values are based on, you know, forget the moral code of different people's religions. Forget that. Let's just talk about being human. Let's rise above that and just talk to the simple sense of being human. What we value is what we're going to put our time and energy into. That's what we value. What's worth putting your time and energy into, to investing your time and energy. And so part of the magic of this work is that we are going to change what we want to put our time and energy into this week. We want to change what that investment is going to be. And it's because of that change of value that I no longer want to put time and energy in fighting with so-and-so online. I no longer want to put time and energy with arguing with someone about politics. I'm done with that. I don't want to put time and energy about trying to prove who's right. You realize that our society has been hijacked. I'm not sure by whom, okay, but we have been misled into putting our time and energy into conflict, into arguing, into trying to prove who's right when we're both coming from different pedestals of not having done the research. We're just going with what we've been told and we're arguing over it. We put our time and energy into more dystopia than we have utopia. How much are you putting time and energy into things that bring you joy versus time and energy in things that bring you suffering or bring you pain? And by the way, you don't have to do anything per se. I know some places have less freedom than others, but what we put our time and energy into is our choice. So this week we are shifting our life's plans. Hello, Blue Ridge Smoky Mountains, Allie. We are shifting our life's plans by changing what we put our time and energy into. That is where your power is. And with Mercury retrograde, I'll talk about this in a minute, we're seeing things from the inside out. The question of the week, here's another thing. The question of the week is, what direction is spirit pointing me? So what direction is my spirit pointing me? Now, this is sort of a philosophical question that you have to sort of sit back and look at the details and look at the evidence to see, where is spirit actually taking me? Where have I sort of been pointing? You can sort of see the trends. And the reason why this is the key question of the week is because when you look at your work life and it's just overwhelmed with stuff that you're not enjoying, or you look at certain duties that you've signed up for that you're no longer in love with anymore, and you get sort of bogged down by the details. The question is, well, what is my spirit really wanting here? Have I veered off course of what my spirit is wanting? And spirit, without getting too philosophical and, spirit metaphysical, let's just say spirit is an essence. It's an essence that you see over time. Like, for instance, my spirit clearly has wanted to be an astrologer, because when I was a kid, I would make every project I made in science was about the planets. So my spirit was looking at the planets. I was a huge Star Trek fan and Star Wars fan, but I mean, I was a fan. I wanted to be Captain Kirk. I wanted to be Han Solo. Like, that was where my imagination was. Again, my spirit going for the planets. Then when I got into actually, more awareness, I started thinking about, what, I think I want to be an astronaut. I want to go out and literally shoot for the stars. My spirit has been pointing towards astrology my whole life. And then when astrology came, I was like, that's kind of ironic. Here, all my knowledge of the planets and all my astronomy knowledge that I had, because I've been an astronomy nut. I went to planetariums as a kid. I always asked my dad, can we go to the planetarium? Can we see the laser show? I'm from the 70s. We had laser shows back then that was played to Pink Floyd, and there was a funny smell in the auditorium, and I now know it was pot. Like, I'm older, like, oh, that was pot I was smelling in the auditoriums in California. But again, my soul was pointing towards planets and astrology the whole time. So you want to look at those trends. If you get a little lost in the details this week, get lost in the conundrum of everything you're facing, well, what direction is my spirit pointing? And find your path again. Find your path onto that direction. So looking at the planets this week, we're going to ultimately shift our life's plans by accepting new values that we have adopted. And basically the doobie. Thank you for that. That's right. It was a doobie, or it was also grass. In California, they called it grass, which was funny too. I was a very observant kid. I watched all these little trends growing up. The real hero of the story is always the sun. The sun in Leo, the sun in Virgo this week goes from 9 degrees to 15 degrees. And when I say a week, I'm talking about from tomorrow, Saturday, to the following Friday when I'm on the air again. So from tomorrow to the following Friday, we're going from step 9 to step 15. So today is step 8. Today, you are deciding who you want to become on the inside and deciding who you don't want to be anymore. So we're deciding who to be or not be. And remember the secret magical equation: what you be is what comes, right? What you be is what comes. So today we're deciding what we want to be. Tomorrow on Saturn Day, it's named after the planet. All the days of the week are named after planets, if you don't know. Tomorrow on Saturn Day, we act, we go forward, we move ahead with becoming that person. So it's time to go ahead and become. On Sunday, which is named after the sun, we ultimately manifest and allow ourselves to become this new version of ourselves. And then on Monday, we hit Grandmaster step 11 Virgo, and that's when we have become our new self. So as a Monday, you're going to feel like you've ripped the mask off, or you have gone through the metamorphosis, or the butterfly is out but the wings are wet. That would be on Monday. And at that point, immediately, because Virgo is hyper awareness, as soon as you're like, oh, I'm finally starting to feel better on the inside, you look around your house and you're like, oh my God, this place is a pig pen. I've got to clean. I've got to organize. My life is a mess. And that's part of Virgo consciousness, is that you are so hyper aware of everything that needs to be done. And you just have to go to bed every night being happy with the progress and not expecting to be at the end. One thing about Virgo is it's the end of the consciousness of spectrum, because Virgo is the end of reality, the edge of reality, and it goes right up against across the way in astrology chart to Pisces, which is the beginning of reality. So Pisces is the beginning, Virgo is the end. This is one of the reasons why Virgos are so obsessed with the outcome and not interested in the process very much, because they're all about what's it going to be in the end, what's it going to become, what's it going to end up as, right? So the hard part of Virgo conscious management is that you have to be okay with it never being done. Like, it's never complete. Life is it's sort of an illusion that you're ever done. And so you have to sort of get over it and realize. But the point is once you're out of the butterfly is out and the wings are wet on Monday, then suddenly it's like, okay, my life, I'm not happy with my life's plans. It's time to shake this up and make this, different. I want to reorganize everything. And this is like when I was a kid and I'd come home and my mom would have all the furniture in the living room all moved over to the dining room, like all of it. And she'd vacuumed up under everything. Now I know she had a lot of Virgo in her chart. like, oh, this is where this comes from. This is why we're scrubbing the walls and the ceilings with a towel. And this is where this is the week where you sort of like take everything out of the garage or take everything out of the living room and you put it all over here and you're like, okay, this is a mess. I want to reorganize my life. That's the feeling of the week. And what will happen this week is that from step 11, you'll expand. On Wednesday, you'll realize, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So Wednesday is the power day of the week. I'm going to start talking about what's the power day. The power day is Wednesday, for the record. The power day, the red check mark. I'm going to have a red check mark in my notes. That's the day when you realize this shift has got to change. I got to completely change the way I organize my life. It's just not working this way. On Thursday, you sort of understand what that is. On Friday next week, you accept, yes, this is the way it wants to go. So putting the week in sort of just a simple understanding, this is the week where you realize that the way you've organized your life, what your life has become, not good. You're not happy with it. You're ready for it to change. And so we look at what dynamic, what dimension am I going to change it? How am I going to mix up this party? And of course, a lot of this is that I've become someone new on the inside. So I want my life to become a reflection of that newness on the inside. I want to become this reflection. Now, Mercury is retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. That's what I love to say. Mercury is retrograde. Mercury moving backwards. So moving backwards, Mercury means that our mind is first of all, our polarities are shift. Our polarities have shifted in the sense that our mind usually is either logical or intuitive. And when Mercury retrogrades, it flips. So if you're normally dominant intuitive, you become dominant logic. If you're dominant logic, you become dominant intuitive. So there's like sort of a flip. And as a result, you end up conceptualizing your life in a different perspective. You end up seeing your life in a new way because of the flip of the polarities of the mind. And you sort of move backwards in time. You sort of reflect. Instead of looking forward, you look back, you build anecdotes, you build understanding with Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades from 17 to 15 degrees Virgo. And the Sun and Mercury will Cazimi on Wednesday. That's why Wednesday is the power day, because Wednesday is a day when our mind moving backwards connects to our heart moving forward. and they conjoin in a Cazimi where Mercury flies in front of the sun as a little speck of dust that it is. And what happens in that is that your heart, the sun, and your mind, Mercury, join forces. They get on the same page. So the boogie of this week is that your heart's moving one way, your mind's moving another, and they're going to they're going to come together and agree on Wednesday about the level or the dimension that your life needs to take next. Like, what's the dimension that my life needs? What's the approach my life needs to take? And so as a result, you want to sort of, if you can, I know that the Virgo consciousness has got us a little all overwhelmed with details and things to do, but you want to try to coast as much as possible. Okay. Try to coast, because the thing about Virgo is, as soon as you adjust something, just like your body, as soon as you force yourself to go to bed an hour earlier, after about 4 or 5 days, the body will adjust. It'll just snap in together and it will adjust. Those 4 or 5 days kind of suck because it's like pushing a boulder uphill. When you're trying to change reality, it feels like nothing but the world is working against you. But if you stay with it and you stay consistent and just gently continue to put it back, put it back, put it back, you'll find that there comes this moment where it just snaps into place and you suddenly become this as a consistency. Now, given that, we have Mercury retrograde, and this week we have Venus station direct. Venus has been retrograde in Leo since July 23rd, and it will station direct at 9:20 p.m. on Sunday night. That's 9:20 Eastern time here in the United States, Eastern Seaboard. So at 9:20, Venus stations direct. Venus retrograde has been calling for us to remove our heart's attachments to certain things. So we've been falling out of love with parts of our life. I spoke to this already. I won't repeat myself. And the good news is as of Sunday night, the list of things you no longer love is complete. And at the very same time, who you want to be on the inside is also complete. And Venus is at step 12, which is the I believe state of awareness, which means that your heart will come to believe in a philosophy about what your heart wants. Now, this is super important that Venus is direct because it's in the sign of Leo, which is step 1. And remember, what are values based on? What we put our time, Pluto, and our energy, Sun, Pluto and the Sun, we put our time and energy into that. And by the way, it's no accident. The Sun is the beginning of the solar system. Pluto is the end. I manifest is the Pluto and the Sun coming together. Sun is the beginning, Pluto is the end. So what you put your Sun and Pluto into is what you end up valuing. So we move forward this week with our heart kind of on a magical adventure. You could call it like a shopping spree for your life. Your heart is going to be ready to follow the fun and explore things. And I think after 6 weeks of realizing life has become meh, and I'm out of love with these certain things in my life, I think that on Sunday night, come Monday, we're starting to feel kind of excited about the possibilities. So I believe our heart lights up. Now, again, the power day is Wednesday. And I'll say this right now. Let's say, so Black Moon Lilith, which is our fear, goes from 26 to 27 this week. And 26 is commitment. So facing fears of commitment. Step 27 is fears of taking action. And Black Moon Lilith moves to 27 on the power day, Wednesday. So on the day when the Sun and Mercury Cazimi and our heart and mind comes together, Black Moon Lilith clicks to 27. So that tells me right there, if suddenly my fear moves from a fear of commitment to a fear of action, that probably reveals the fact that I now know what I'm committed to in my heart, because now I'm afraid of doing it. I'm not afraid of committing it. I'm afraid of doing it. So again, Wednesday seems to be the power day, because that's the day when we realize, okay, this is what I want. And oh God, I'm afraid of doing this. I'm afraid of going on stage and being a stand-up comedian. I'm afraid of telling this person it's no longer working. I'm afraid of, quitting my lucrative job. It pays really well. I've got great benefits, but I'm just not happy. So we start to face our fears of the consequences of our commitments come Wednesday. Now, looking at the week on an emotional perspective, on Saturday and Sunday, the moon is in Aries. So you're going to be rah, rah, go, go, go. You're going to be emotionally amped up Saturday and Sunday. Like, I'm ready to become this new person. I liken it to the Rocky music. I don't know why I'm such a 70s baby, but it's just like Rocky putting on those horns blowing, like, you can do it, getting stronger, that song. Then Sunday night, the moon moves into Taurus. And so now we start to go, okay, let's make this shift become real. And so for Monday and Tuesday, you're basically holding space for this new version of yourself. You're emotionally waiting for this new version of yourself to become real and to stay solid. Then the moon moves into Gemini and you get really cerebral. So we get really cerebral on Tuesday to Wednesday. So Wednesday, when the power day of the Cazimi, the day that Mercury kisses the sun, is the moon is in Gemini. So it's a very Mercury cerebral realization, a big idea. It could be an aha moment. The sun is at 13 degrees, which is a Uranus ruled degree. So what ends up happening on Wednesdays, we realize like, it's not that I've always been unhappy. It's that I've never been supported. Something like that. Like one of those realizations, you're like, oh my gosh, it's everything is the same, but everything is different just from realizing this one thing. So you're going to probably realize something about your life that makes you come to realize, like, it's like the Dorothy moment when she had the red slipper shoes. It's like, you could have gone home anytime, honey. You had the power of the entire time you were skipping down the yellow brick road. It was right under your feet the whole time. And that's usually when I know that I'm on the right path, when I find the solution right beneath my feet that has been with me the whole time. That's how the angels work too. Nod, nod, wink, wink. They're letting you know, like, yeah, we've actually been there the entire time. We just been waiting for you to realize it. So the ultimate Wednesday moment of the aha moment is with the moon in Gemini is this major brilliant light bulb day. It's like a major light bulb day. And then the moon is in Gemini on Thursday, where we're really sort of following through with the ideas. And then the moon goes into Cancer next Friday, when suddenly it's like, whoa, our emotions catch up to us. Like, I'm going to really quit my job. I'm going to actually end this marriage. I'm going to actually go for being a stand-up comedian. I'm going to, whoa. Like, so it's like we sort of zip through the whole week, and then come Friday and next Saturday, I'll talk about next week, the emotional truth of all this kind of catches up to us. So the good news is run while you can before the moon hits Cancer, because once it hits Cancer, you may not have had, really allowed yourself to go there if you were looking at the emotional consequence. And emotional consequence is not a bad thing. It's just something that has to be managed. You have to, you have to feel through it. Now, other themes going on this week. Mars this week is in Libra. Mars is in its detriment in Libra. Yes, I am going to be a stand-up comedian. That's my secret dream. Actually, I call it a stand-up astrologer. That's how I spin it. I'm a stand-up astrologer, not a stand-up comedian. Mars in Libra, our ego energy is good that it's sort of tamed a little bit. I don't know if you've been sleeping, but I have been like so tired lately. As soon as Mars hit Libra, I'm just like, oh, everything became sort of molasses. I had a lot more energy when Mars was in Virgo. I was like, go get things done. Now that Mars is in Libra, our energy is softened. Libra is the detriment. So the ego is not as strong as it normally is. And the ego is like stirring the pot on our relationship to ourselves. It goes from 3 to 7 degrees Libra this week. So this is sort of the follow through. So, this weekend you're like, I'm going to become this. I'm going to become that. Mars in Libra is like, okay, well, if that's the case, you need to do this, you need to do that. We need to actually get up early. We have to actually take our butts to the gym. So Mars this week is sort of putting pressure on yourself. Just be careful to respond to yourself with kindness and not respond with your ego. Because that's what Mars is our ego. This is a time, to practice what you preach. You want to become this, you got to treat yourself this way. You want to become, more important than you are, you got to treat yourself as though you're more important than you have been treating yourself. On the flip side of the Libra energy, of course, is Chiron and the North Node in Aries. The South Node in Aries is at 25 Libra. The North Node in Aries is at 25 Aries this whole week, which means that the overall stream of consciousness is bringing us to become this new character. And the North Node in Aries, the first time since 2005. 2005 was the last time the North Node was in this Aries. By the way, that was when I was gearing up to start Soul Garden. My first spiritual brand was the North Node in Aries. Now I'm reinventing my brand and adding on Astro Mingle and all sorts of fun stuff coming up around the corner that I won't mention just yet. I have a lot of stuff in the works, but it's when you decide you're going to become this new character. There's been times when it's been a caricature for me. Now it's more of a character than a caricature. But the point is that with step 25 being the degree of the nodes, you are moving toward your destined character, character. And this is where I sort of get, what direction is your spirit pointing? I get what direction is your spirit pointing by literally speaking to the North Node in Aries at 25 degrees. That's literally the direction your spirit is pointing. And I will say with the South Node in Libra at 25 degrees, yes, on Ning AD, that's correct. With the South Node in Libra at 25 degrees, it means that we're moving away from certain relationships. These could be companionships, partnerships. These can be romantic situations. This could be a relationship to a vendor. Like we use Stripe to collect, credit cards every month. Maybe you move now to something else like PayPal. So it's not always just people. Sometimes platforms you're moving away from. There's a real migration happening where people are leaving associations to become a certain character. And what associations replace it? I don't think we know the replacement characters or the replacement people, probably until the sun goes into Libra, which starts at the end of this month, but it really won't be until the beginning of October that you start to, find that replacement person or platform, or maybe sign the contract. You want to wait till Mercury goes direct on September 15th before you sign any contracts. So the ego is really working on responding and being there for our own relationship to ourselves, what I call the mirage. And the North Node is saying, hey, become that destined character you're always meant to be. And I do think that goes back to being a little child when you were a kid. When I was a kid, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be in the planets. I want to be out in outer space. And here I am. I'm in cyberspace and I'm focusing on the planet. So it's not a far cry from what I was aiming for. And that's what we're heading for now. I believe that the North Node in Aries is saying it's time for people to become what they were destined to become on Earth and to listen to your intuition to get there. The last point to talk about, and then I'm going to do the charts, is Jupiter and Uranus. Jupiter is at step 15 and will retrograde on Monday. So Jupiter moved into Taurus in late May, and it has been expanding. Jupiter's expansion, it is also understanding, its belief structure, its exposure to new ideas. My famous saying for Jupiter is, did you know? Did you know? Did you know that there's another platform out there? Did you know that this happens? It's sort of the nerd in us. It's the fact finder in us. It's a part of us that finds the new information that changes everything. Did you know you had other choices? And Jupiter's been saying, did you know you have other choices of what you put your time and energy, Taurus, into in life? Did you know you could invest in other parts of yourself and other parts of your life that you haven't invested in? Did you know that? Did you know it could pay off? And so as of Monday, Jupiter said, okay, that's enough. Did you know for now? And Jupiter will retrograde back to step 5 is where it stations direct, and it stations direct on New Year's Eve, which is very interesting. So this New Year's Eve is going to be this year quite a party because we're going to feel Jupiter come out. It's going to party like it's 1999, folks, I think, with Jupiter going direct on New Year's Eve. Just saying, and in Taurus. So that means someone else is going to pick up the check. All right. So Jupiter this week is at 15, which is the acceptance. And this is where I get accepting values. Jupiter at 15. It's time to accept. Yes, that's true. I don't want to put my time and energy into this anymore. It's true. I admit it. I totally am guilty. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to put my time and energy in this instead. And so this is one of the big reasons I think Jupiter stationing retrograde, Jupiter is pushing like, maybe there's more, maybe there's something more to know. Maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe there's, a vendor out there that could do a better job. Maybe there's a person that can do another job. And then Jupiter retrogrades and goes, oh, that's enough shopping for now. That's enough. My brain is saturated. I don't need any more information. Let's just work with what we have. And that's ultimately what Jupiter retrograde is like, okay, let's fill in the gaps. Let's fill in the blanks. Let's do some research. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's do some deep dives on the expansion and growth that we've been doing with ourselves with Jupiter. So that shift to retrograde is a real reason why we're ready to make our initial plans for what's valuable. We're ready to decide what to put our time and energy into because of Jupiter retrograding. And Uranus is retrograded. When retrograde last week, I believe, I get my time confused because I'm in a timeless state here as an astrologer, Sensei Christopher. But Uranus is at 23 Taurus, which has raised the bar on what we are aiming for. So it's like, I don't want to put my time and energy into this anymore. I want to put my time and energy into that. And I believe it could go here. It could go this far. It could go this far if I plant those seeds right now. I could take this business. I could take this relationship. I can take this partnership. I can take it to this huge, amazing potential, says Uranus at 23 degrees. So Uranus sort of dangles this golden carrot in front of us and says, hey, if you really try hard right now, you can possibly pull this off. And so that's an energetic pull. And that pull is going to triangulate with the sun and with Uranus, the sun and Pluto later in the month. We have a grand trine in Earth that's going to happen. So the Taurus energy is at rest. We'll work with the materials that we have. If the option doesn't come in by Monday, it's not time to consider that until January 1st, when Jupiter is direct at 5 degrees, which means we're going to also have to examine some of our values. All righty, so I'm doing a little change now. I realized in my Mercury retrograde, talk about putting time and energy, I realized, why don't I go over the planets and the charts in the planets and transit segment? Why am I going over the charts in the tea time segment? Because I want to talk about the aspects of the week. And I had this brilliant idea, like, why don't I show the aspects with the charts instead of talking about them twice, where I talk about it and then I bring it up again. So let's do a little screen share, shall we? I want to show you some of the charts that are coming up for the week. And okay, here we go. Brilliant. Okay, here I am. So this is our magical graphic created by our metaphysical minister and astrologer, Robbie Hunt. She is just doing some amazing segments on the metaphysics of love and metaphysics in general. Those are live on our site right now on weekends, on our weekend pep talks. And she does also art. Yes, the magic unfolds. We are rewriting history. And of course, we consider Serious Joy to be the new Camelot. That's just something that we love. The first chart that I want to point out is Venus going direct. This is the actual hour that Venus does go direct. Venus goes direct at 9:20, 59 milliseconds on September 3rd. That's this Sunday. You know, Venus is right here. You can see actually the whole Leo, party going on. We actually have Juno in Leo, which is saying, hey, go for what your heart really wants. Juno is Jupiter's wife. Venus is direct at 12 degrees saying, hey, it's time to follow what my heart feels is true. That's what 12 is. What my heart feels is true. So let's go forward. Isn't it interesting that the sun is at Grandmaster step 11? We have become. So this is one of the reasons why I'm convinced of the step system, because of the freaking timing. So are you kidding me, God? Are you kidding me? The moment that I go, okay, I finally become who I want to become, Venus is like, and action. Like that's the moment when Venus says, go forward, let's do it. The moon, of course, is in Taurus. So there's like a yes, we can sort of energy underneath that. And what's fascinating is at this moment, I like to look at the moment things happen. At this moment, there's a yod in the sky that's pointing to Mars, not just Mars, but a personal re-evolution of the self. The moon at 6 degrees Taurus saying, I am feeling what I am worth. 6 is our relationship to ourself. I'm feeling what I'm worth. I am taking responsibility for what I believe I was destined, Pisces, to be, and I'm going to channel that into changing my relationship, to raising my relationship to a new level on the inside. That's what Mars at 4 is. It's an inner re-evolution, an inner revolution. So you may, if you're up at 9 o'clock on Sunday night, you might be feeling like this. You might have a hard time going to sleep because you might realize, oh my God, I'm becoming something I never thought I'd become. This is White Lilith. We'll talk about White Lilith in future episodes. White Lilith is an asteroid, and she sort of tells you how to combat Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith's like, I'm afraid of making commitments. White Lilith says, oh, the way you face that is you just stand in your integrity. That's what you do. So always look to the asteroid White Lilith to know what the answer to Black Moon Lilith actually is. Some interesting stuff. We go deeper there in Serious Joy. Next key date of the week, Monday, September 4th. Monday. What happens here? Two different things. One, Jupiter stations retrograde at 10:10 a.m. Eastern time. Jupiter retrograde at 15 degrees. What I find fascinating about this, again, the timing, it's just, let's see, 2 degrees is 4 hours. It's just about 4 hours prior to the moon conjoining Jupiter retrograde. I think in the morning of this is East Coast time. We do East Coast here to be simple and for everyone to calculate and translate the way they want. But at this moment, you realize, okay, I've shopped enough. This is the point when you've been at the mall all day, you're carrying 10 little bags with you, your feet hurt, and you're really craving a hot pretzel, right? Like, I really want a hot pretzel, Mr. Pretzel right now. And so the moon is going to, like, right before the moon crosses Jupiter, we come to this realization, I'm done. Stick a fork in me. I'm ready to endorse what I want to put my time and energy into. That's going to be a realization on Monday. Later that same day, Mercury trines Jupiter at 6:28. Oh, you know what? I screwed that up. This is out of order. Mercury trines Jupiter first. Let's rewrite this. Forgive me. It's actually that Mercury trines Jupiter and then Jupiter goes retrograde, which is a far more profound choreography by the planets, if you ask me, because Mercury at 15 Virgo says, okay, I'm starting to open up and accept what my reality is going to be or needs to be. I've become the greatest version of myself ever. Step 11, my reality, Mercury retrograde, I want to change my reality. I want to open up to a different reality. And Mercury trines to Jupiter and says, yeah, a different reality with different values. So there's this realization right before sunrise or right at sunrise. Well, is it sunrise? Well, I don't have the right map for it. I'm doing Aries on the rise, but this is right before sunrise, basically. Right before sunrise, you go, okay, I want my life to change. It's going to have to tie into new values. And then a few hours later, 6 to 10, then Jupiter retrogrades at 15 degrees. And then, of course, the moon crosses Jupiter. This is the coordination of the ballet of the planets. I find it to be just absolutely beautiful. Anything else to talk about on this particular slide? Nope, that's it. So our next key date will be then Wednesday. And this is the power day. And it looks like I forgot my final one. Darn it. All right. That's okay. I will show it next time, or I'll remember next time. But this is the day where this is the power day where the sun Cazimis and Mercury Cazimi. Okay. So this is the moment. This is at 13 degrees. This is the moment when you realize I am taking this ride higher. You want to ride this ride, you got to be this tall to ride this ride. This is the power day Wednesday when you say, okay, my heart, step 1, believe step 3, that I can live a better life and I deserve a better life. Gosh darn it. And I'm going to do it. And of course, it's trining into Jupiter at 15. So it's like, it's part of the new values. I'm accepting that I have new values. I've been shopping enough for a new reality. I'm ready to take this and ride to a higher ride. Mars goes to step 6, Libra, which means I'm ready to act on a new relationship to myself. I'm putting a new relationship to myself in motion, which is great. I'm going to do the things that are necessary. The moon's in Gemini, so it seems like a very good idea. And you can't see it here, but in about another few minutes after the Cazimi, so right after the Cazimi, again, the timing of the planets, just remarkable. After we have this realization, boom, Black Moon Lilith moves to step 27. I'm no longer afraid of the commitment. I'm afraid of pulling it off. All right. Now, the chart that I have missing here, we're just going to roll with it in live TV, is I did not bring the sun trining Jupiter, which happens next Friday. Maybe that's why it's meant for next Friday. But next Friday, the sun gets to 15 and it trines Jupiter. So that means that we start the week with Mercury trining Jupiter, 15, just to show you here. Mercury trining Jupiter on Monday. And then come Friday, at the end of the week, the sun trines Jupiter. So on Monday, the mind goes, hey, let's think about accepting new values. On Sunday, the heart goes, done and done. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to accept. So it's going to be an exciting week. Venus direct at 12 degrees, moving forward with our creative vision. That, in essence, is the planets and transits for the week and the major aspects. Again, Mercury trine Jupiter, Jupiter retrograde, Sun conjoined Mercury, and Sun trine Jupiter. That's the power of this week. With that, I think it's time to talk about you, my friend. Go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our weekly tea time. All righty. So thanks to everyone. Again, one little note, if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button so that the algorithm will suggest us to other people that enjoy astrology. This week, I'm going to go through all 12 signs and give you a horoscope for each of the 12 signs. It's something I do every week if you don't know. And this week, I'm going to talk about 4 areas. I do like the number 4. 4 is the door to changing ourselves. I'm going to talk about where the sun is conjuncting Mercury in your chart, in your life. I'm going to talk about what Venus direct means. So where are you moving forward with a new belief? A new belief about love and creativity, where you're going to create stuff. So where are you moving forward now with this fresh, heartfelt perspective on growing and changing your life and following your heart, the yellow brick road, I like to call it. I'm going to talk about where Jupiter retrograde is going to affect you, where you have shopped enough in your life and you're now ready to build on those new values, time and energy, step 10. And I'm going to talk about Mars in Libra from 4 degrees to 8 degrees this week, or from 4 to 7, really. Where are you going to have a revolution? Remember that yacht I showed you? Where are you going to have a revolution about how you treat yourself, about how you partner with yourself? That's what the early degrees of Libra is. It is, in my opinion, our marriage, how we end up married to ourselves for the entire lifetime that we're in. So where are you trailblazing new marriage vows to yourself? In other words, you're sort of dating yourself. When the sun gets to Libra, you will marry yourself. Now we're just dating ourselves, basically, to put it that way. Where are you dating yourself right now and trailblazing a new relationship to yourself? And as always, we'll start with the Aries. I'm learning to drink water as I go. I should start a little earlier in the show. We'll have to have a little reminder. Aries. I like to say it that way, like a game show, like you've won a prize. Aries are there. That Cazimi moment is you realize you've got to take your lifestyle to a new level, that your life needs to go to a higher level. You can't keep living on this level, Aries. It's not going to do. You've outgrown your job. You've outgrown your car. You've outgrown something in your daily life, in your routines. It could be also that you need to elevate and become healthier, by the way. This is the 6th house transit for you. So it might be that you need to be healthier and make healthier choices. But it's what your heart believes life should be. And I should have said that. I'll say it right now. It's what you should. You know, I quite often say, don't shit all over yourself. That's a Julie Day quote, by the way, for Julie Days, if she's out there watching. She gets the credit for that quote. Don't shit all over yourself. But this is a time where we should be shooting. So you want it. What should your life be? What should it be? If everything is, if you really are going to be a wizard in your life and create reality. Venus direct says it's now time to move forward with love and creativity. So what you love, what you want to create, the love stories you want more children, you want to be an artist, do you have a rock and roll band on the weekends? It's time, baby. It's time for you to go for your heart. And because of the North Node in Aries, you guys are always the first ones on stage. You always like break the seal, so to speak, and get us all going in that direction. So we need the Aries to really love who they are and to go for it and to jump for it, because it will inspire so many people to follow you. That's one of the things you do, is you trailblaze for us. You are the most courageous, sometimes maybe the most foolhardy, but we love you for that too, because you show us what not to do as much as you show us what to do. Jupiter accepting values with Jupiter retrograde. You've built up enough awareness around money, how you need to manifest money, where the revenue stream is, what the business idea is, how you're going to manufacture the product, how you're going to assemble it. Like, you've got enough knowledge now. It's now time to go build your beta or your prototype, or start looking for that job, or, it's time to actually start. You've got enough knowledge on where to make the money, how to make the money, and you won't move forward again with new money ideas or fresh concepts until New Year's Eve. And then your ruling planet Mars, where are you trailblazing? You are trailblazing literally a new relationship to yourself. So think of it this way. If you want to change your lifestyle, if you want to follow your dreams, if you want to manifest that money, then you can't keep treating yourself the way you've treated yourself, because had you been treating yourself differently, that shift would already be here. It ain't here because you have not been treating yourself like a successful business person. You haven't been treating yourself like a person in love. You haven't been treating yourself like a healthy person. There's been a lack of the way you treat yourself. So it's time now to stand up and try these new things with yourself. And because you're basically a person who resists by nature, you'll have a lot of back and forth tangoing to do with yourself. You don't change overnight. That's not true. You wait and put it off and procrastinate, and then you do change overnight. That's what you do. Taurus. Tauruses are, the Cazimi moment is around love and creativity. And that's why I'm in my heart right now. Virgo energy is love energy for Tauruses. I happen to always feel my heart so strongly in Virgo, even though I'm overwhelmed with stuff. Tauruses, it's time to really decide. It's time to take love to the next level. That would be your creative self, the way you create. So this is my creative canvas right here. Time to take your creative canvas to the next level, your creative projects to the next level, your love life to the next level. So if you're currently in a relationship, turn up the romance. Okay. Drop some rose petals, do the work here, Taurus. If you're not in a love relationship, go out and start to meet people. I think it's time for Tauruses to find that love in their life. And there's a lot of evidence of it. The South Node left Scorpio. You're ready to rock, Taurus. You are ready to date. Venus direct means that you're now pretty sure about what your home needs to be, about what your daily emotional care needs to be. It's time to move forward with creative changes to the home, time to move forward with your creative ways of nurturing yourself. Coming up with those fluffy pillows. I talk about it. It's like fluffy pillows and all the, making your bed comfy, making your laundry smell good. Like, sounds kind of trite, but when a Taurus needs to be treated like a king or a queen, that's what makes them feel really fertile and capable of making that meat and milk, depending on the gender. Jupiter retrograde in your sign means that you have expanded your personality and your to-do list enough. And I'm talking to myself here. We got enough on our plate, but you no longer need to find new stuff to do. You need to now flush out all those character changes now and makeovers of who you are. So flush that out. And Mars in the early degrees of Libra says, it's now time to change your relationship to your body, Taurus, and how you live in the moment. So this is a time, Taurus, to go on a diet, to hit the gym, to start exercise regimen, to change your nutrition, get off processed foods if you're on processed foods, get back to organic, God-grown fruits and vegetables, and meat if your belief structure allows it. But it's time to really get back to that health and that healthy body and that healthy body image too. It's also image it ends up turning out. Gemini, the Cazimi is around your feelings about life. So you feel life is, I think Geminis are going to be a little slumped over in the chair leading up to Wednesday because Geminis disregard their emotions until they hit them like a brick, So at first it's sort of like but then I think you lift your head up on Wednesday in the Cazimi and you realize that you don't have to always feel this way, that you can feel better in your job. You can feel better in your body. You can feel better in your relationships. You can feel better in everything in life. And it's time to feel better. So it's time to raise what the baseline of how well you feel. Talk to a Taurus if you need clues on that. Remember, Tauruses like to live like kings and queens. Venus direct says, hey, your new ideas you have about starting a comic book, or your new ideas about, writing some letters to, your local congressman, or whatever those new creative, fun ideas are, time to go forward with it. Let's explore those ideas. Let's see where they go. Let's see if the world tries to stop us. So go forward now with your creative ideas. Jupiter retrograde says, okay, good news. You faced enough challenges of faith. So you'll no longer be challenged on faith. Oh, Mercury retrograde, which is a happy thing. So you haven't had a really good fun transit with Jupiter and Taurus because it's forced you to have greater faith. And that's hard for your mind to accept. I know that. So don't worry, you have enough spiritual care and connection now. If you learned in this last transit to meditate or to do yoga, if you learn that your guides will answer your prayers, whatever you learned about faith, continue and practice. So you want to practice makes master with all those things you've learned, and there'll be new lessons coming out or a new layer of faith that will be sparked on New Year's Eve. When it comes to Mars, it's now time to treat your inner child with a lot more care, Gemini. It's time for a new relationship to your inner child. Perhaps it's time to find your inner child. I know a lot of serious Geminis that never go there and they aren't playful. I know a lot of Geminis that are always playful and never get to business. So it kind of depends. Like maybe your inner child needs to grow up a little bit and get serious, or maybe you've been way too serious and it's time to have a little more joy, serious joy. So whatever that happens to be, it's time to move forward now and really give your inner child a second or third or fourth chance. It's never too late, Gemini, never too late. Cancers are, their Cazimi this is going to be a major light bulb moment for Cancers. This is a moment where Cancers' head have been in the wrong place. All right. And I've talked to many Cancers. My mom's a Cancer. I have a close-up view of Cancers. I have a couple of Cancers I work with. I get like I'm spying on, they don't know it. Maybe they do, but like, I'm always watching the Cancers, and I think you're going to have a brilliant light bulb. I think your mind has put you under a certain spell is what I think. You've been under a certain spell. That spell could be caused by someone else, could be caused by a relationship, but I think you come out of a spell you've been under and you realize in the Cazimi, like, oh, my perspective has not been the right way. I've been looking at this all from the wrong angle. So I think Cancer's reframe. They have a major reframe of the way they see life. And I think that it's going to free you because you were imprisoned by your brain and imprisoned by some of your thought processes. So I see Cancer's breaking free, like that little image of get out of jail card in Monopoly, the bird flying out of the cage. That's what I'm seeing in my head. The Venus direct for you means it's now time to move forward with your creative ideas for business, your creative ideas for making money, your creative ideas for making a product. Maybe you want to cross stitch something or you want to craft fair something, but it, so if it doesn't have to be financial, like professional, it can also be fun creativity, but you are being encouraged now to create, go out, Cancer, and create, go and propagate, go and, spread your creative ideas across the world. We need ideas, especially self-care creative ideas. So move forward with your production values, basically. Jupiter retrograde says, you've done enough social media for a while, Cancer. You don't need to develop your image right now or your reputation. Don't worry so much about getting new customers. Focus on the customers you have. Really grow what you've already, so you've grown in your business or grown in your reputation, or you've explored half the city. Now let's get to really know the rest of that half that you've explored. Let's get deeper on what you already know about society. And Mars in Libra says, hey, it's time to respond differently to your feelings about yourself. Libra consciousness, so I'm like a mile a minute here. Libra consciousness is always like taking care of the other person before themselves, right? Libra is what rules Cancer's emotional house, the fourth house. So Cancers are always notoriously abandoning themselves to take care of others. I think Mars in Libra is, if you want to become this new idea that you have in your head, you have to treat your feelings differently. You have to respond to your feelings and baby yourself. And it's so funny. You're real quick to like take care of someone else. And then when you have to be taken care of, you want to get out of as fast as you can out of the shower or whatever. Cancers don't like to do it, but it's like, nope, you got to practice what you preach. So your ego is now, it's a revolution, a re-evolution of how you respond to your own emotional self is what's happening with Mars and Libra. Leo's Cazimi is around money and manifestation. So Leos are going to have, and Leo risings too, I should put out. I say that because I'm a Leo rising. Can you tell? Leos are now coming to the big aha moment about their business, their productivity, their ability to manifest things, to make money. This is a money-making time for Leos. It's time to collect and to figure out your revenue streams. I think you're going to have an aha moment about your business or your job, or you can have an aha moment about what you expect to create. Like maybe you're going to create a product, or you're going to create a show on YouTube, or you're going to create a tarot deck or something. Now it's time to go ahead and take that creativity to the next level. I call it creative with a K, and go forward with that. Now Venus is direct in your sign. So I think Leos have been somewhat hidden in the Venus retrograde. This has been a very quiet Leo. Usually in Leo birthdays, it's like every day on social media, Leo's like, it's my birthday. Other people usually say happy birthday to you, but Leo's like, it's my birthday. I want everyone to know it's my birthday. This year, not so much. The Venus retrograde really muted that, but it's now time to go ahead and crank that up and put yourself out there. It's time to make a splash. It's time to shine and move forward on whatever your theory is about who you are and what you're going to become. It's time to go for it, basically, and time to take that risk, but calculated risk, I have to say. Jupiter retrograde says your career growth, as far as what you've set out to do for career, you've got enough on your plate now. Fill all that in. So fill in the gaps, research the necessary stuff, research the partnerships, the associations, whatever you've come up with. Again, Jupiter stations retrograde, what is it, on Monday? So if you get some last minute deal in by Monday, you're okay. But then after that, me as a Leo rising, I'm still negotiating deals really quickly. And we'll talk about it just yet, but so we got till Sunday, but then after that happens, it's like you're going to fill those gaps in until New Year's Eve. And then with Mars and Libra, it's time to respond differently in yourself. It's time to be, there needs to be a revolution in your thinking about yourself. And that revolution may be you being realistic. Some Leos are off in la la land and they're not paying attention to the fact that the bills aren't paid and the dishes aren't done. But some Leos can be sort of negative in their mind and self-depreciating and derogatory to themselves. And so it may be that you need to some pep in your step and actually be your own life coach and be your own support in your mind. But there needs to be a revolution in your thinking about yourself is what it needs to be. And perhaps also just catching up with your character changes. The Venus retrograde has been a major character change for Leos and Leo risings. And so maybe your mind hasn't quite caught up to that yet. Maybe you're not really recognizing, like you're talking to yourself like the old Leo. You're not talking to yourself like the new one. You're talking to yourself like the prince and not the king, type of thing, or princess and queen. Virgos, happy birthday, Virgo. The Cazimi for you is who you want to be, behavior. So you're going to have a light bulb moment on what you want to do, how you want to behave, how you want to go about something. So this real light bulb of like, I'm going to become a fisherman. I'm going to become this. I'm going to become an artist. It's that you're going to become something, or you're going to do something, or you're going to go on that trip, or you're going to make that happen. So there's like some sort of a rah of like, let's make it happen kind of energy with that light bulb moment. And maybe realizing you were going at it the wrong way. And now you realize, okay, I got to go at a new way. The way I was going about was not the right way. So it might be a change in direction of something you were already on the path of, or it might be a whole new path that you want to take. Venus direct means that you are ultimately ready to move forward and build faith. So you were questioning your faith through the entire Venus retrograde. I don't know if I have faith in this. I don't have faith I can pull this off or whatever. I think that doubting Thomas is over now. And now you know what you do have faith in. So go forward and start creating what you do have faith in. This is your spiritual care and your connection. So you're moving forward with spiritual care and spiritual connections right now. Spiritual care would be all of your routines around connecting to your higher self, meditation, yoga, things like that. Jupiter retrograde says, okay, you've done enough studying right now, Virgo. Let's now go test all those hypotheses. So Jupiter retrograde, your ninth house means that you've got enough data. You're probably overwhelmed with data. You don't need any more books, any more references. You don't need to plan any more vacations for the moment. You don't need to go to any more libraries. You have enough data. Let's get deep on the data. Let's do some hardcore Virgo super processing that you do and really crunch the numbers and see what you got so far. So enough research already. And your motivating beliefs, the beliefs that motivate you, those are the beliefs that are now ready to go. So, I believe that I can be this. Okay, follow that belief. That's a motivating belief that you want to take. And then Mars in Libra says to you, it's time for a revolution in your self-worth. You've got to really, give yourself a raise as far as the credit you give yourself. It's time to give yourself much more credit than you have in the past, and really act on that credit. If you're going to give yourself the credit, well, then go ahead and make the purchase because you know you're going to make it. Like, so I'm not saying go into debt, but I am saying that you don't have to prove. You can give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself some credit. Give yourself some lending room to go ahead and pull off this magic. And credit is time and space. Credit is time and energy. Give yourself more time and energy to what you want to manifest. And don't be so quick to judge and call it a failure before it's had a chance to get out of the gate, basically. Libra, your Cazimi moment is with faith, spiritual care, and connection. You're going to have an aha moment. I'm trying to think. I'm not in touch enough with Libras. Libras, reach out to me, my Libra friends. I want to hear from you. I haven't heard from you in a long time. I'm just not realizing that. I'm thinking about 3 of them right now. You've been quiet, but I think this is an aha moment. What my gut says is that you were kind of classifying your life as doomed. Like, I'm doomed, like C-3PO in Star Wars. I'm doomed. I don't think that. I think your light bulb moment is like, I'm not doomed. I'm actually blessed. I think there's going to be a light bulb moment where you realize, oh, this has all been for my highest good. So I think you're going to reframe your karma and reframe your spiritual perspective on things and realize that, that it's not, you don't have bad luck. God doesn't hate you. The world's not out to get you. Your spirit is not doomed. I think that you actually, you're going to realize, holy shit, I had the red ruby slippers the whole time. It's kind of the thing. Venus direct says, okay, you can now go forward with your social campaigning, your friendships, your relocating to a new neighborhood, creating a new advertising campaign, creating a new product in society, creating a new image on social media, change all your profile pictures. It's time to go forward and be creative in the way you put yourself out there. I think Libras are really finding themselves. And you know what? Our lead writer, Heather Exposito, brought that up in our Mega Monthly. last Wednesday. She was talking about how Libras, she thinks, are really going to find their new version of themselves. And Mars in your sign, by the way, everyone, give Libra a little space. They're about to get passive aggressive. They're about to get passive aggressive. Warning, Mars moving into Libra. It's time for a revolution in how you treat yourself. So if a Libra is a little cranky, it's because they've been treating themselves even worse behind the curtain. So it's now time to really treat yourself on a higher level. Treat yourself like the success that you are. Treat yourself with the potential that you have. Put your oxygen mask on before you put on someone else's. So Mars in Libra is a revolution right now of how you treat yourself. And that's how you treat yourself in your mind, how you treat yourself with your body, how you treat your emotions, how you treat your goals, everything. How do you treat yourself? It's time for a revolution. Scorpios. Scorpios are, their Cazimi moment is in with where they belong in the world. Scorpios are in this moment right now. I don't know if you know any Scorpios, I'm close to a lot of them. They're sitting back in the Scorpio den and they're not quite sure who they want to sting next. Where do they want to go next? They're not quite sure. They've been aiming. With that Venus retrograde has happened in their house of career. Now this energy in Virgo is like, where's my place? Scorpios are a little uncomfortable. They're moving around the room. They don't know where they want to be right now. But I think what happens on the Cazimi on Wednesday on the Power Day is that they realize, this is where I belong. I belong at this company. I belong with these friends. I belong in this neighborhood. I belong doing this. So I think Scorpios will identify where they belong, or perhaps where their product or service belongs. That's the other aspect. Where does their product or service truly belong? For the Leo direct energy for Scorpios, this is now time to move forward with career. So as of Sunday night, Monday, hit the pavement. It's time to go forward with all of your creative ideas for your career. It's time to go forward with what you want to create in your career and what you want to do in your career. It's time to try new ideas, try new products. This is a very magical time for Scorpios, I have to say. If you've been sitting on some sort of idea or project for a lifetime, with Jupiter and Taurus, the right partners are going to come for you and help you out. Like, this is a time for you to go for it, Scorpio. The universe is really in needing you and what you bring. Jupiter retrograde is that relationship changes are on hold. So you've been doing enough. I know a lot of Scorpios that are in the battle. They're going through a lot of relationship changes, changing their agent. Their marriage is going through a new cycle. I know Scorpios who are done with it, and they're ready to move on to a new relationship. But those changes, you get a break now. There'll be no new relationship crises or topics until probably New Year's Eve. Like, it'll be the same old stuff you've always dealt with in those relationships, or the new stuff that's come up in those relationships. But I don't think any new relationship drama or relationship growth points. I mean, things that force you to grow until New Year's Eve. And then Mars and Libra is saying, hey, it's time to really have greater faith in yourself, Scorpio. It's time to have a revolution in inner faith. I know you tend to be practical and try to play it safe. But if you don't have faith in yourself, you won't take calculated risk. And you are the best person to calculate a risk. I mean, life and death, literally, where the risk is. There's no one more qualified, maybe Aries a little bit under number 2, to take calculated risks. So you got to give into the faith and not ignore the fear, face the fears head on, address them, but don't let yourself get paralyzed by fear. It's time for a revolution of inner faith right now. Stand up. We need you. Sagittariuses are going to have a Cazimi moment around career values, what you value in your career, what you feel your career needs to be. You're going to understand what's really important to you in your career. Sagittarius try to do it all. They have Virgo in the house of career, so they tend to overpack and end up over-promising, and then sometimes under-delivering because they just promise way too much. They're Virgo. They're the 2 Leos in one when it comes to career. They want it all. But I think you're going to be very clear on what you value most in your career, and that will allow you to make the important changes in your career. Venus retrograde stationing direct says, hey, your motivating beliefs, you now know what your motivating beliefs are. You now know what motivates you. You now know what you believe in that motivates you. And you can now move forward and pursue your motivated beliefs. The beliefs that really make you wake up and they give you a cup of coffee. And, it's like, you don't just thinking about it gives you the energy to do it. That's what you should be pursuing. Jupiter retrograde says, No more changes to daily lifestyle or work environment for the time being. You've grown enough at work. You've grown enough you've got enough in the new tools. You got enough in the new strategies. You've got all the new equipment. You've grown enough. Let's now work on quality versus quantity in daily work life. So go for the quality, go for what brings the greatest quality, and make your daily routines be of high quality versus high numbers. And then Mars in Libra says, hey, it's time for a revolution and for you to be a much better friend to yourself. And that's what the early degrees of the 11th house is, our self-friendship, which opposes the early degrees of the 5th house, which is our self-love. Aquarius is self-friendship. So it's time to be a revolutionary friend to yourself. It's time to, be the friend to yourself that you always are to others. Take that one to the bank. Capricorns. Capricorns are, their Cazimi moment has to do with their motivating beliefs. You're going to realize that aha moment, that belief that you really feel super clear on, that you go, this is what motivates me. This is what I believe in. This is what life should be. This is the direction I want to point my life. So I think Capricorns are having a major light bulb as far as where to point their life and what their life needs to be or what they want to do with their life. So this will be maybe an understanding of where to travel or what kind of education you need or what kind of learning that must unfold. So it might be realizing what really excites you. For those of you who are in college or something, you might go, oh my God, I think I've figured out my major. That's like a good way to look at it. It's like figuring out what you want to major in is sort of the energy of this Cazimi and Virgo for you. The Venus direct is saying it's time to move forward now with trust and intimacy. It's time to trust. It's time to let the right people in. It's time to close the wrong people out. It's time to start closing doors and opening doors in your life. And if the door is open, trust. Stop guarding, standing by the door guarding. Stop worrying. Go ahead and if they're not trustworthy, they shouldn't be in your life, period. And so now it's time to move forward with what you do trust and let yourself get close and intimate. Jupiter retrograde says you've grown enough in personal dreams, love, and creativity. You have enough creative projects on your plate. Again, it's the same thing as Sagittarius. Instead of quantity, you want to focus on quality. So quality love, quality time with your children, quality time with your artwork projects, quality time with your expression of yourself, and not try to gobble up too much. You're going to get better at what you already know instead of bringing on new stuff onto your plate. And then Mars in Libra, it's time to have a revolution in your self-discipline. So, maybe you're a hardliner with yourself. Maybe you're too soft on yourself. Maybe you're hot and cold with yourself when it comes to self-discipline. But it's time for revolution. It's time to discipline yourself in a different way. Considering that you have this new thing you're going to major in and you're ready to change your life with trust and intimacy and you're ready to create new things, maybe it's time to discipline yourself like an artist instead of like a businesswoman. Maybe you've been always disciplining yourself like a CEO. Maybe you need to discipline yourself like a creative artist. So that kind of a discipline means you sleep until 10, you have brunch at 1, and, you hang out with your artist friends at 4. Like that is the self-discipline of an artist. So because you're changing, your self-discipline needs to change. Time for some water. Stay tuned. Aquarius. Aquarius's Cazimi moment is around trust and intimacy. So aquas are very, very complicated nuts to crack, so to speak. Like the combination to get into your heart, the combination to your safe is very complex. It's an algorithm that no one can contemplate. And I think where you have a Cazimi moment is you realize, this is what I can trust. This is what I can do. This is how I can make it work. So I think you have a light bulb moment go off this week where you realize, if these things are set, I can trust this. Or if these qualities are met, I can get closer to this person or closer to this situation. So it's a light bulb moment. I think Aquariuses are being pushed to be closer to people. And I think that sounds like a very bad idea to Aquariuses. They want their space and their freedom. And the thing is closeness does not mean captivity. Let me say that again. Closeness does not mean captivity. All right. You can be close and that doesn't mean you're held captive, especially if you choose the right people. So it's time to have new trust in your intimacy and to create the boundaries that will support, trust. Venus direct says your long-term relationship changes are now going forward. Yes. It's now time to move forward with, if you've made negotiation with your partner, Live up to those promises now, do it. If you decided you're going to partner for the first time, do it. If you decided this is the right person, do it. If you decided this is the wrong person, end it. Okay. But it's time to move forward creatively and let your heart out. It's time for Aquariuses to grow. We can't have the age of Aquarius without Aquariuses, and Aquariuses will not pull off the age alone. That's the irony of you. You tend to want to do everything at arm's length, but I don't think the world's going to listen to your kooky ideas unless they're close to you. That's what I'm saying. So you got to let them in, and you got to follow the love. Jupiter. Oh, interesting. Okay, we got this. So Jupiter retrograde in Taurus means that you no longer have to go emotionally grow anymore for the time being. I'm not saying you're emotionally stunted, but the universe has been putting really pressure on you to really get more comfy with your feelings, to get more close to your feelings. The world is saying you don't have to grow emotionally. You have enough now. Let's focus on the quality of how you feel. Let's not worry about the quantity of feelings. Let's worry about the quality of your feelings. And let's practice feeling good in your body. Let's practice feeling good about your life. The Mars and Libra revolution for you is it's time to have a revolution in believing in yourself. It's now time to believe in yourself like you've never believed in yourself before. And by the way, there's no way you're going to talk us into your wild age of Aquarius ideas if you're doubting it yourself. You have to believe in yourself, or we're not going to follow your leadership in the age of Aquarius. You got till next year when Pluto enters your sign, and then you're going to be forced on the stage. So it's time to have a revolution and believe in yourself, and believe in yourself now, Aquarius. And then finally, the Pisces. Pisces are having a major Cazimi moment when it comes to the relationships they belong being in. Relationship belonging. Do you belong in this relationship? Do you belong in that relationship? Do you belong leaving this one? Do you belong joining that one? This is the Cazimi. You're going to have this light bulb go off that makes you realize, I can't deal with relationships on this level. I need them to be on this level. You got to be this tall to ride this ride. You're going to realize that your relationships have to be a new light and a new perspective. What they become is unacceptable. And that might be being single is unacceptable. That may mean being married is unacceptable. So you might realize, or cheating is unacceptable. Something is going to be an aha moment about what to do about your relationships. And that's to people, places, and things, all the above. So it can be a relationship to anything, basically. The Venus direct is you now ready to move forward with a new lifestyle, maybe a new way of working, maybe a new way of eating, maybe new nutrition, but it's time to go forward with this new lifestyle, to be creative in your lifestyle, creative with a K, make life fun, make life enjoyable, make it happen, live the life you believe you're worth living. Okay. So, live that happy life, be that joyful Buddha. I look at a happy Pisces as a Buddha. Okay, that's what I look at. I look at sad Pisces as, dying on the cross. It's kind of goes back and forth to those two images. And it's time to be the happy Buddha, the happy smiling Buddha, basically, where you're happy with your life. Jupiter retrograde means that you have enough fresh ideas. So no need to start, reinventing the wheel in your mind. You got enough algorithms, you got enough theories, you got enough to work on here. You've communicated enough, you've said enough, you've written enough. It's now time to focus on editing those words, editing those thoughts, and making them denser, making them more valuable. Accepting what you value in a certain mindset and going with that value mindset that you accept. So again, accepting values is part of this. I should have been saying that this whole time with Taurus, but oh well. So accept your mindset and be ready to edit your mindset again in December. The way you're thinking now, again, as of Monday, is the way you're going to think for until December. And then Mars in Libra for you is a revolution in trusting yourself. Pisces must now trust themselves like they've never trusted themselves before. This is true with Saturn in your sign, Neptune in your sign. The North Node is pointing to your house of manifestation and abundance. Like, it's time for Pisces to go on stage. They've done enough karma, enough editing of their karma. I don't see how we're going to end the age of Pisces unless Pisces are leading that age. So we have a finale of the age of Pisces in this lifetime. And so Pisces, you need to show up and be that Pisces revolution that, these major Pisces, age of Pisces figures like Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad talked about. Like, it's time to live that spiritual truth now. And so for that to happen, you got to trust yourself. And I will say, this comes to mind, you got to forgive yourself. A lot of mistakes you made were karmic mistakes. You had to see yourself make that mistake. because you had to get over that karma. It's one of the things about being a Pisces. So don't look at the past or your resume as a means of trust. Trust because you feel it. Trust because you've earned it. Okay. Amen, says Christina Talks Radio. I just read that. It was like so perfect. All right, friends. Well, that wraps up our tea time and our 12 horoscopes, our soul horoscopes. Now we will go to a minor intermission. We're going to replay our zodiac weather so people can sort of recap with that. And when I come back, I will have abstract healing artist Heather Eck with me. Stay tuned. This zodiac weather is for Saturday, September 2nd to Friday, September 8th, 2023. Looking at your weekend moodcast, this weekend is really about firing up and moving forward with who you're becoming. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and fired up. Step 9 rules the day, which means Mars is the active planet. And it's time, especially with the moon in Aries, to take action and become someone new on the inside, someone that supports your heart's dreams. On Sunday, it's sunny and persevering. Step 10 means the I manifest energy is ruling the planet. You are protecting who you are becoming on this day. And welcome back, Venus. Venus stations direct at 12 degrees Leo. Now on to our 5-day weekday moodcast. Over the course of the week, you then take this new becoming and you expand what's possible in daily life. Let's drill down. On Monday, it's sunny and integrating. Step 11 is the Grand Master step of Virgo. Chiron rules the day. This is the day where you will experience and realize that you have become someone new to yourself. Mercury trines Jupiter, coordinating daily efforts, and Jupiter stations retrograde at 15 degrees Taurus. On Tuesday, it's sunny and positive. Step 12 means Jupiter rules the day, bringing a hope and optimism to your life with unlimited possibilities before you. You're opening up to new options and expanding resources. On Wednesday, it's sunny with a chance of lightning. Step 13 means that Uranus rules the day. You are innovating your perspective on your daily routines. And it's Cazimi time, Sun Conjoins Mercury retrograde at cosmic 13 degrees Virgo. On Thursday, it's sunny and resolved. Step 14 means Mercury rules the day, and the moon is Gemini, doubling that energy. This is the day where you will have an intellectual breakthrough and have a new idea about daily life and perhaps a new perspective on how to approach it. And then on Friday, it's sunny and comfy. Step 15 means Venus rules the day. You are opening your heart and accepting what's possible in everyday life. And the sun trines Jupiter, which coordinates that truth to resources and potential.
For the best astrology guidance, you can enjoy an entire month of personalized astrology services for just $3.99. At Serious Joy, we pride ourselves on providing astrology enthusiasts with exactly what they're looking for: daily personalized inspiration that speaks directly to the heart. Sign up today and you'll receive personalized messages straight to your phone 7 days a week. And that's just half of it. You'll also get access to our exclusive members-only site with tons of amazing features. Experience the most accurate astrology service on the web at seriousjoy.com.
Okay. Hello, folks. We are back. Welcome to the Astro Mingle segment. May I be the first one in this group to introduce you to abstract artist Heather Eck. Hi, Heather. So nice to have you.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you, and happy early birthday to you. I just found out backstage you're a Virgo, so the timing is perfect of this show.
It is. I know everything you were saying earlier. I was like, yes, all of this, all of it.
I'm endorsed. Yes. And do Virgos just like suddenly become completely over their reality and want to strike?
All the time.
That's called a day.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow's another day. I can start over again.
That's good advice right there, actually. She's a 26-degree Virgo, everyone, if you don't know, and a moon in Capricorn, just putting that out there. So let's dive right in. I saw your work. It's really beautiful. I personally love color, so I was a big fan of what I saw. You describe yourself in your work as art that heals, which I find to be super interesting. What do you mean by art that heals?
Yeah, there's something that really, it uniquely happens with my work in that I kind of consider every piece a commission for somebody that I haven't met yet, because there's something that happens when they see a piece that resonates with them where they kind of go, oh, it's me. I see myself there. And the color or the shape or the form that they're attracted to is offering them something in the way of healing, whether it's a message through the color or the way that they sort of connect to the title of the piece. There's just something there that gives them a sense of healing, sort of like when you listen to music and you feel yourself get emotional over it. There's something in that song for you that's offering you healing or support.
That's an interesting way to put it. And you just brought up something interesting too, that when you're painting a painting that isn't commissioned yet or isn't sold yet, can you kind of feel that person out there in the world waiting for your picture? Can you kind of feel the parent pacing in the hospital wing?
A little bit, yes. So when I first started painting, I was working in my garage and I was painting a piece for somebody. I knew who they were, but as I was doing the work, I felt myself get emotional. I started to cry, and the colors that were coming up were kind of, really different. They weren't pieces of colors I would put together. And that person showed up at my house and she said, I have not stopped crying all the way over here. And I
Whoa.
showed her piece and she said, that's for me. And it was
Wow.
just this really cathartic moment where I felt like I didn't necessarily know that it was for her, but I felt her energy and she clearly felt it too, because she really emotionally connected with the work too.
Are you, I mean, I'm not, I won't say that. First of all, I'm an artist in my own way, but that inspiration when it's coming through you are you are you observing yourself doing it? Is there a subconscious part to it, or is it more conscious?
That's a really good question. I think that there are times where I try to be really conscious of what I'm doing, but sometimes I get in my own way. So I'll try to meditate ahead of time to kind of clear my head. I'll listen to music or something that'll keep my ego out of the process so I can just kind of let whatever comes through come through, and just let the work be of service to whoever needs it.
So it's really channeling, really like channeling as a messenger.
Yeah, I do feel that sometimes there's specific messages or specific symbols, or even the kind of music that I'm listening to is kind of telling me something along the way.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you become a professional artist? Especially now, you seem to be a Gen Xer like me. We were told to be lawyers and accountants. Like, how'd you pull that off?
Okay, so I spent 17 years in corporate as an HR manager.
There you go. Okay, that's what I thought.
And I got to this point where I had a really great, lucrative job. It was wonderful to have that and to say that I had that experience, but I got to the point where I was the sort of tired that no amount of sleep or vacation time was going to fix. It was something in my spirit that wasn't satisfied. And I work with a spiritual teacher, and she always tells us your gifts show up when you're young. Your gifts show up when you're a kid. And we talked a little bit about that. And my gift of art was always there when I was young. I was always sketching and drawing. I was always painting. I was always drawing to music. And when she said that, it was like a light bulb went off in me. And I was like, oh my gosh, all these certifications I have, all these classes I've been chasing, all these things I've been trying to get, none of them really felt like me until art came back in the picture. And then I suddenly felt like this is it. This is what's been missing for me.
I think you're a model Virgo when you say that, by the way, because I meet so many Virgos who have a hard time surrendering to that illogical, impractical, what seems impossible, direction. And yet it's eating them inside that they can't do it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And good, bravo to you for being able to make that transition, because then money is always the other big thing that people are terrified about. Did you just go cold turkey and live off of savings, or did you like ramp up slowly on like art, shows? How did you do that?
Yeah, so I started painting again a few years before I left corporate. The funny thing is, I think I was sort of sending mixed messages out to the universe, because on the same day that I got promoted to HR manager and then also got a pretty good chunk of a raise, I also got offered my first Friday show, which is like a solo show. And so I remember going to bed that night thinking I was so excited about the show and I was not excited about the promotion. And that was when I think my heart really started to go, I don't think I can live in this space anymore. It's not healthy for me. And so I started to kind of lay tracks to exit. And then when I decided to leave, I'd sort of planned, we make plans and God laughs. I'd sort of planned, I'll stay till the end of the year and then I'll transition out. And my boss said, you're ready to go. You're done. Let's walk down the hall and tell your team. And I was like, oh no. And so
Pushed
it
in the
happened
pool.
like that so fast.
You just let it out that you've been painting, and they're like, "Oh, well, then you're fired." No, it's like,
I
how did that
said,
happen?
this is where I want to go. And they were like, I was planning to say, but I'll work through. And he said, okay, you want to resign? Then we're done. And I was like, okay. So I just kind of went with
Fascinating.
it.
Now, so what I find really fascinating about you is that you also consider yourself to be a clairsentient psychic, that you are full on psychic, which is awesome as a Virgo too. Because Virgos tend to be very reality focused, and they don't always pay attention to spirit. That's something that's usually complimenting. When did you first know you had this gift as a psychic?
Yeah. So I don't always kind of classify myself as a psychic. I always feel like that word's reserved for people who can really channel and talk to spirits and all of that, which I think as a clairsentient, which is something that's always been a part of me, is where I really noticed that was being in spaces where I could suddenly feel, not like an empath, not like I would take on the emotion, but I could kind of sense the energy of the space I was about to enter. Or it's like walking into a room and sort of knowing that there's been an argument in there, or kind of
Mm.
picking up on this energy and kind of having that feel, like that clear feeling of what was going on. And then the other aspect of this is that I have something called synesthesia, where when I listen to music or hear words or meet people, I see color around them and I take in information through color. And that's part of how my gift as an artist works too. I sort of paint the color that I see and then also prescribe a color that would be supportive for that person for whatever emotional space they're in or whatever chakra sort of seems to be in or out of balance, if that makes sense.
Yes, it's actually what I'm really fascinated about. Now, is that term a term you came up with, or is that the name for seeing color? Like,
That's actually a scientific term. There's like 4%, I think, of the population who have some form of synesthesia where their senses kind of get crossed when they hear music, or even if they taste something, they might taste a color or smell a color or
oh, that's
something where there's
fascinating.
yeah.
You like smell purple or something like that's
Yeah. If I
wow.
smell an essential oil, I'm like, oh, this smells like brown or this smells like purple or something, which is I didn't really have the vocabulary for that early on. And now I recognize, oh, that's how I take in information. That's just part of my day to day. And now I feel like I can explain it a little bit better with that word.
Do you see people's auras as well as we said?
I
True
can a
or
little bit. Yeah, that's starting to develop a bit more, where I can start to see colors sort of take shape around someone, which is really interesting. And I'm hoping that aspect grows. I would love for that to be more.
then it will. That's been my experience. I think, especially as a Virgo, once it is possible, I see that it becomes more and more. There's Virgos tend to be so like, this is how it is until it isn't. And then suddenly this is how it is. You know? So at some point you were painting, but you merged and fused together creativity, art, and healing. What was that? When was that inspiration? When did you deliberately start creating to heal?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when that light bulb moment went off and I said, oh, art is where my heart wants to be, it was almost like something just started happening where I would start to see two or three colors for somebody. So the very first painting I did had a very light green, a very dark green, and a white, and then gold. And I was like, I don't know why, but I see these colors for you. And so what I've learned is that the color that I initially see for someone is sort of the place where they have like the imbalance or like the pain. And then the next color is sort of a prescription for how to help support that. So I've started to pay attention to what color I see and then what color comes next, because that tells me a little bit about where they are and what color would be the most supportive for them, or how they can use that color day to day to invite more of that healing energy into their lives. And I think that's where the healing comes in, because you start to get very intentional with the color. So if I say orange is going to be especially helpful to you when you go into your closet and you see, the variety of shirts that you have, you might go, oh, what I want to wear orange, because orange is really going to support my sense of creativity and how I express myself. And I want to invite that color. I want that color to minister to me.
Fascinating. I actually have the same My psychic awareness seems to work similar in the sense that when I'm doing a reading for a client, the first thing that comes across is the pain where they're struggling. And it's almost like I'm feeling some of it and I want to relieve it. And I'm looking for the solution to relieve that pain right away.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's, so is this what a color reading is, what you just described? Because you have something in your site called a color reading. Is that what you just said just now?
Yeah, that's one of the things I love to do is I kind of call it like a spirit portrait for somebody where I will meditate on their picture or in person and I will see the color for them and then I'll create a painting that as I'm doing the painting, I'm taking notes of what is the first color that I saw, what chakra does it align with, what are the words that are coming through, what music am I listening to, what are the symbols that I see that sort of take shape initially in the painting and then where does it start and where does it end? And then I'll sit with someone on a Zoom session and say, okay, here's what I got. Does this make sense for you? This is where I feel like there might be some challenges. This is what I think might be helpful. And we have a conversation. And I think what is really nice about that process is that I'm able to really connect with somebody. And then what I love is that when I show them their portrait, they kind of just go, oh, and it's almost like their soul is like, yes, that one's mine. And I just love the way that they sort of accept that this piece was made for them intentionally with love and intentionally with healing. And it offers them, a new way to associate with color that they may not have ever thought of, or with art the same way.
Totally. I mean, it brings a whole nother dimension to artwork and such a personalization to artwork. Do you find that sometimes because you're pulling up pain memories and pain body and also solution, do clients sometimes, are they sometimes pushing away? Like, do they resist or do they immediately fall in love? Do you see a little catharsis go on in front of you on that Zoom meeting?
I do. Yeah. It's interesting that you asked that because I had a friend come over and I had a series of pieces and I said, one of these is yours. Which one is it? Because I kind of wanted to see which one would she gravitate towards. And she literally picked up and held every single piece except the one that was hers.
Oh, how funny.
And I said, wait a minute, you missed that one. She was like, oh, there's something about it. It just, I don't want to touch, I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk about it. I want to look at it. I was like, that one's yours. And here's why it's yours. And she was like, okay, fine. I
Oh,
get
how
it.
cute.
And so then she took it and she still has it. And she's, it was something that offered her a different way to see herself, where there may not have been a lot of that like self-acceptance or self-love, where this piece was kind of saying like, you're perfect just the way you are. And I think that in the moment it wasn't quite ready to go there.
Yeah. And that's also proof positive. What people ignore in a reading is often what they needed to hear. I've noticed. I always tell them, listen back to the reading, whatever you ignored, you're in denial about. And that's always a process of, I think, the mediumship of connecting to people and their spirit and their time. So have you decoded sort of a universal meaning of the different colors and the message of different colors? It sounds like you're so in touch with them. They're like your friends. And is it a language that you've developed with them?
Yes, that's a really great question. I think I'm still developing that language with them. I think what I'm noticing is that, like that big box of crayons with all the different shades, is that it's not, I think initially I thought it's just the chakras, it's just the red, orange, yellow, green, but it's shades within those colors that tell me even more about the person. And so I'm starting to detect the shade, and then being able to connect to the prescriptive color that would be the most helpful using that shade. And that's something that I'm working on. When you talked about the Virgos needing to kind of develop their spiritual practice of faith and kind of really moving into that, that's definitely something I've been thinking about, is how do I really create this disciplined practice to grow that aspect of my gift even more? Because that's where I think there's a lot more that I can tune into with somebody to offer that to them.
And perhaps literally a language between you and the angels, like a common, like universal language, like numbers and whatnot. But
Yeah.
have you found, does it fall into categories like red is anger and blue is sadness? And does it play out that way, that in those ways that we tend to cliche colors, or is it more complex or surprising?
Yeah, I think they're definitely, so red for somebody, I think more so they connect to the themes of the chakras, and that very initial color I see will tell me, okay, red might mean that you are feeling unstable, or you might be worried about your money, or you might not have the kinds of relationships that you're looking for. You might just feel like you're not on solid ground. And so then I might say, okay, well, for you, then I would do something with like white. White is about the sphere. It's about connection. So it's about developing your consciousness and connectivity to a higher power that will help you feel more grounded, that will help you feel more stable. And that, again, that's where sort of that healing and balancing and support comes in.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, I love working with the chakras too. And in our service, we also prescribe a color of the day just to sort of complement the energies. So I'm really drawn to your work and what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Have you had any anecdotes like from after a while of people with a painting that's come to help them overcome something?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I think, there are people in my world who have collected a bunch of my work because each piece is sort of a snapshot in time. And so there's one where I sort of did a piece for someone, and the shape that came through kind of looked like a dog. And she had recently lost her pets. And
Oh, wow.
within a few months of this portrait coming into her awareness, she adopted a new dog. So it was almost like there was something about that piece that was sort of telling her some new, fur baby energy was coming into her world. And I didn't really know it at the time until afterwards, and then kind of connected the dots and said, oh, that was a dog. Okay, now I understand what that was sort of telling me. So I'm still learning, and I'm still kind of trying to piece together different messages and different things that have come through where it's helped the person in that way get some clarity.
And slowly decoding how the whole language really works for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of learning as you go. Is there
Yeah.
a sort of an atypical kind of client that stumbles into your studio? Are you attracting people who are mourning, or attracting people who are pregnant? Like, is there a theme that you've noticed with the type of clients you attract?
Oh, that's a really good one. I think that for a little while, I was doing a lot of portraits for people who had passed away.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so doing a spirit portrait for somebody who they just wanted to honor in a different way. And I think that the portrait helps with healing a bit, because they're not necessarily needing to look at a picture of the person, which can just really pull at your heart, but more so look at something that's representative of the person or symbolic of them. But I think for the most part, I tend to attract people who are sort of at the beginning of their spiritual journey, where they're sort of looking for something to tether to, and they're kind of exploring. Like for me, I started with crystals, and I loved crystals, and then I moved on to cards, and then I moved on all kinds of things, where I kind of get them at that start, or they're in the middle of some sort of transition where they're trying to move from one phase of life to another, and they're looking for something to kind of help them feel a bit more grounded in themselves.
So it sounds like, I mean, if I can put words in your mouth, that people who benefit from your work are maybe people who are in a transition, they're seeking something higher. I mean, what is your prescription for how your work can help others?
Yeah, I think that when I started working with color, I really started to become more self-aware. I pay attention to where colors show up around me. What colors am I wearing? What colors appear frequently in my home or my office? And how are those colors influencing me, whether I'm aware of it or not? And so I think that that's a really good way for people to sort of tune into. Oh my gosh, I keep seeing, for example, before we moved from New Jersey to North Carolina, I kept seeing the color yellow everywhere. And then I started to pull yellow into my home, and I started to wear yellow. And yellow is all about your sense of personal power and your confidence. And it was really helping me to make an identity shift from who I was in New Jersey to North Carolina. And as we moved and I made that shift, that color started to dissipate. And so blue started to come in. And so I really kind of pay attention to what those colors are signaling to me, and how to use it intentionally once I get where I'm going.
So does a person's favorite color say something about them in your experience?
I think it does. Yeah. I think that the colors that we are attracted to are ministering to us somehow. So if I am really wearing a lot of magenta, that magenta is really helping me stay focused on optimism, joy, and just the happiness of being alive. I think if if I find myself wearing a lot of black, then I know I'm sort of in protective mode. And so I think that whatever color you really love, it's offering you something. And when you kind of understand what that is, you kind of go, oh, all right, I see what it's trying to tell me here, or I see how I'm using it currently. Same
Yeah,
for if you don't like it.
Even if you don't like it, yeah. And have you noticed any trends too with like what a client is wearing versus what you're painting for them? Like, because a lot of times I think people wear colors that make them look good,
Mhm.
and that they like, and it's sort of probably speaks to their chakra or what they're going through. Have you seen that people's color taste change?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so. I worked with somebody for a while when I was in corporate where, really funny, I had noticed she was wearing a lot of yellow, and I just kinda said to her, "Any chance you're thinking about making a change? Or are you considering doing something different?" Like, something about an identity shift around her, and she was like, "100%, why do you ask?" And I said, "It's because 'cause you're wearing so much yellow, I can see that." And so she's told me, "Every time I pull something out of my closet, I think about you because I'm wondering, what does this color mean for me? Or if I wanna wear that yellow today, what is that saying about me? Or if I show up tonight wearing black, you're gonna know I'm protecting myself a little bit." So it's kind of
Interesting.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it does speak. In that context, I find it interesting. Like I don't know if you've been out to like model homes and architecture, but it's like everything has gone gray in the new
Mhm.
age, like gray carpeting, gray walls, gray kitchen, gray black and white. Like somehow we've washed the color out of our homes. Have you noticed that?
100%. Yes. It's so interesting to me. I also, so gray is sort of that, it's a black and white color. It's very neutral, but gray can often symbolize lack. And so when I see gray sort of kind of permeating throughout, I'm like, what are we lacking collectively that we're inviting so much gray into our homes that we're wanting to kind of stay in that place of lack? And it could be lack of compassion, lack of love, lack of stability. It just kind of indicates that there's this kind of trend happening. And I noticed too with car colors recently, they've lost their
Mm.
sparkle. And there have been these very flat kind of tonal colors. And I was, kind of thinking, what's happening here? There's something happening around this color for cars and why people are choosing those over something else. And so, I mean, there's all sorts of different directions you can go in, but noticing that stuff is huge because I don't think people really paid much attention to it sometimes, but it does kind of speak to a collective thing.
And the culture. I
Yeah.
mean, we're Gen X babies. Everything was beige growing up in my house. Beige this and beige that.
That
Like
was-
all sorts of browns and like navy green, like
Mhm.
then you go like to the 50s and like hot pink bathrooms. It was like, what were we thinking in
What
the
was going
50s?
on? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But now it's really, really just bland and gray. It's what it's become. So
Mhm.
I'm worried. And I'll even see the artwork on their walls will also be blacks and whites with just like one splash, like one accent color. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there's got to be more to your soul than this one splash of orange. It's
Right.
interesting to
Right.
see. It's a fascinating component. Well, your
Hmm.
work sounds just amazing. Now, a person can commission how does it work to be your customer? Do we come in and we ask for you to? There's obviously things that you have already for sale that we might be gravitating towards in your gallery that's on your website.
Hmm.
Um, but how does it work? Can I have something you can do a color reading for me and paint something?
Absolutely. So I kind of have the spirit portrait side, which is where I'll do that individual painting for you. And then I also sort of have my work categorized by color based on how do you want to feel. So I want to kind of invite people to think about, I want to feel more creative. Well, then you might want to invite orange into your life, or I want to feel more empowered. So you might want to invite yellow into your life. And so I think what I'm trying to allow people to do is to connect the emotion or the energy that they want to manifest or cultivate and invite that color in because that color will help minister to you too. So if you're looking for something for your home or office and you're like, I'm not quite sure where to go, then I can sit down and do a consult with you and we can talk about your colors and what you're drawn to and why, and then create a custom piece for you that way too.
I love it, especially because our community is very concerned about manifestation and coming through, like working through our stuff and our issues. So to have a reminder, that's one of the things I'm always saying, put something on your phone, something that reminds you, continually reminds your intentions and whatnot. A lot of people base it, they want to make more money or whatever. And I find even myself, like whenever I wear red, I get compliments all day. You look great in red. It's like you can see that color has a real influence. So to intentionally put certain splashes of color in front of yourself, I think
Mhm.
it's beautiful and it's effective and it's powerful. It's a great way to go.
Yeah, it's
So
awesome.
tell us, I think we put your website up already, but please just tell us how to get in touch with you. And you have some sort of a class coming up or something that's for the public, that's free for the public. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a 2-day healing art retreat coming up on September 26th and 28th. It's at noon Eastern time. And that's where we'll go through the art of letting go and the art of manifestation. So being able to sort of intentionally use art in your life to let go of things that no longer serve you and then create things that you want to have relationship with. And throughout that healing art retreat, I'll be talking about colors and how you're using colors. Because a lot of times people will pick up a crayon or a marker or paint, and they are not quite sure why. And so I like to be able to educate about what that color might mean for them and how they're using it. And so that's happening, which I'm really excited about. And then you can find me at heathereck.com or on Instagram at heathereckartist.
Beautiful. When did you come up with this idea for the class? Because, you just watched my show. That's exactly what the world is doing right now. Like letting go of the past and embracing the new.
Which is awesome. I feel like it's all one big message.
It's turned out to be absolutely perfect. Well, I really hope that people take advantage and take your free class. It's very generous of you. I assume it'll be through Zoom or something.
Yep, it will. And if you go to my website, or actually if you go to the link tree in my Instagram, you can go right to the link to register for that course, and I'll send you all the Zoom info and all of that stuff.
Okay, terrific. And your artwork is beautiful. I'm going to be purchasing something myself or having a portrait done, just so you know. So I encourage everyone to check out her work. It's beautiful. Thank you for being here, Heather. I've been watching the comments. People love what you're doing, and so many people are interested. So we'll have to hear back from you at some point in the future to see how things are going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's been an absolute treat, and I really, really love watching your show. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And please, if you don't mind, stay backstage. Noelle wants to say hi to you. We'll be wrapping up the show here in just a moment.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. That was awesome. Boy, that was actually the first time I met her. So this is super fun when that can happen, to meet someone that you gravitate with so well and just resonates. Just as a wrap up here, my friends, the magic will unfold at Serious Joy. If you're looking for magic to unfold in your life, then come be a part of our loving community. We have some amazing practitioners, Robbie Hunt with metaphysics, Heather Exposito focusing on individual signs, and more to come with her. We have Kristen Ryder, who is doing sound healing, and the amazing Devin Dewar, who was my special guest last week in Astro Mingle, helping channeling the angels. This is a whole practitioner team. We call ourselves the Lights of the Round Table. We consider Serious Joy to be the modern Camelot, and you can be a part of our family for just $3.99. Give it a try. Cancel anytime, and people do cancel, and we do honor that without any problems. This week, we have live currently on the site. We have our mega monthlies, Lights of the Round Table. We just recorded this. It's about 2 hours. We go through the whole month of September, where we're going to, where the magic unfolds, as I said, rewriting history. So that is available right off of the main lobby. If you come in and just hit mega monthlies, you'll be taken to not only the mega monthly of the month for the whole world, but there's actually individual monthly reports for all 12 signs. Listen to your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, and all of your friends and family. It's a great resource that guides you through the month. We also have a weekly live show, just like this one, for our subscribers called the Soul Support Group. And this week, we're doing our Angel Intervention series. This is starring Devin Dewar. She was live with us last week on Astro Mingle. She's an angel intuitive. It is co-hosted by Heather Exposito, and these two girls bring on 3 of our subscribers, and they get an angel reading based on a dilemma. So you hit sort of a wall, you don't know what to do, call the angels. Devin and Heather are there to help. That will be live at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on Serious Joy. Now, some people ask, what can I do for you, Chris? You know what? You can share. Share us with your friends and family. Sharing is caring. It's the best thing you can do for us. Just to tell people about Namaste today, introduce them to our services, or have them follow us on social media, because we have a daily Zodiac weather that we put out. Some people want to donate, and I'm grateful for donations. I used to say no to it, and then I was like, what am I doing? Some people want to help in donations. So if you want to donate, we do humbly accept donations at paypal.me/Sensei Christopher. Now, the best way to stay in touch with us, if you're not ready to subscribe yet, is our Facebook group, the Serious Joy Club on Facebook. You can get there by going to seriousjoy.club. And we actually encourage you to share your birthday with us. So if you're in the club and it's your birthday, tell us it's your birthday so we can all wish you a happy birthday. Let the Leo example be the way to go. If you're in the club, share your birthday so we can all say happy birthday to you. We also open that club up to any other light workers like Heather Eck just now. If you serve the light worker community, you can advertise your products for free in the club, no problem. Now, if you want to know how to follow us on social media, we do have a LinkedIn, a link tree at seriousjoy.social. Seriousjoy.social. It's access to all of our social media, as well as an interview I was a guest on and some other stuff there. So if you want to do some background digging on us, it's all there. You can join our email list too. We have a marketing email that goes out every week that gives you all the things going on, both in the free social media and also things going on at Serious Joy. And lastly, but never least, some people would rather listen than watch. And I'm so honored to be with you on your walk or your hike or whatever you are doing with me in the background. We do have an audio version of this podcast available at Spotify, Stitcher, and on Apple Podcasts. Just search Namaste Today, and you'll see my mugshot come on up. Well, friends, it has been an amazing show. I'm loving how tight this is getting. Special thanks to all of our Serious Joy crew. We're grateful for you. Special thanks to Noelle Way, and also special thanks to Sarah Lyman, our director. We'll be back 1 week from now. Face that reality, friends. Let that Cazimi take you to new heights. And until next week, remember, I love you. Live, love, be.